one day.
I suppose. Yeah, that was a stretch.
All right, well, let's see. Wildcard Gaming putting their best foot forward. It's going to be Blizzo on the Windwalker amongst Zeepai on the Death Knight. This is the composition they've been running quite a bit, but I think DHDK Nation, they picked a good composition. The Arms Warrior going to be very strong. Houston on the Demon Hunter going to provide a lot of cleave damage in this setup. I think Zeepai could actually be in a little bit of trouble in this game one.
Yeah, one essence in particular for the Arms Warrior, the Blood of the Enemy, which is an area eruption of damage, but most importantly, it increases your critical strike chance and your critical strike damage on the target. So as an Arms Warrior, you can be getting some very big mortal strikes when combined with the Sharpened Blade. This is going to be one of the best aggressive essences you can take as an Arms Warrior. Great for tearing into a Death Knight or a melee cleave, providing lots of damage to multiple targets when Sweeping Strikes is activated, which it currently is by Joel, trying to take out both Blizzo and Zeepai simultaneously. Now, another important change with patch 8.2 is that Pack Spirit, the Azerite trait that allowed Restoration Shamans to run around in Ghost Wolf effectively immortal, was nerfed heavily. So Burley is going to be under a lot of stress throughout most of these matches to stay alive. You can already see that pressure established early on.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Burley can survive on the Shaman. It's going to be difficult. Blizzo on the Windwalker among Zeepai, they're putting out massive pressure early on. Burley's trying to kite away with Ghost Wolf, trying to create some space, but he just can't get away. Houston and Joel, they have to try to create some counter pressure, but I feel like it's just a matter of time before Burley goes down. He holds on with the Ascendants. Good additional healing coming through. We'll have to see what he can get done. Houston goes for a stun onto Looney, looking for a mana rift. Doesn't manage to find it. I think so far a lot of the teams in this tournament, they've been opting to use the Restoration Druid. It's just really powerful in the current meta. If Burley can win this game, that's going to be definitely a good sign for DHDK Nation.
I feel like the only thing that's going for Restoration Shamans right now is their mana. They can heal for quite some time even when they're completely out of it, but other than that, I would say that basically every other healer can out-heal them. Currently, Joel being bursted down. He's going to be leaping back behind the pillar. While disarmed, which he currently is, he cannot use Die by the Sword, an important defensive cooldown to avoid melee attackers. So very important for him. Good awareness to be able to escape to safety during that moment in time. But now Blizzo landing a double leg sweep, big Fists of Fury damage. Burley looking to respect that and trade out the Earthen Wall totem. This should allow him to tank some of the damage, and smartly so tank some of the interrupts. Now, this can be a common mistake as a healer when you're being attacked, is to try to fake cast over and over and over and over. But when you have a defensive cooldown, you can activate it, then get the interrupt out of the way. Even still, with the defensive cooldowns, Burley struggling to stay alive, managing to at least make it out of the stun lock combo. Wrapping around the corner, defensive intimidating shout that is holding Zeepai at bay for now, but Blizzo is still right on top of Burley, looking for a heal, gets paralysis on it. Do they have any more stops for Burley? If he is able to sneak in even one heal, he should recover, but he needs Houston to come back now. Spearlink Totem is likely required at this point in time, and Houston will come back. Burley connects all three members of the team's health together with the Spearlink Totem.
Nice.
Still being interrupted, though, by Blizzo. Zeepai disarmed, trying to pressure him away. Seems very difficult for them to develop some counter pressure. Darkness gets dropped, but then Burley runs out of it. He's trying to trinket and wrap back around into it, but Zeepai grips him out. Big mistakes here from DHDK Nation. Fortunately for them, the Gladiator Safeguard Shield is available, that absorption effect, which is much more powerful in patch 8.2, allowing Burley to survive for a couple of seconds, but ultimately not stay afloat. Wildcard Gaming's pressure will play out. I would say that DHDK Nation are one of the best in Europe. Maybe Method Black is slightly better, but for the Restoration Shaman variant at least, they're certainly the best in Europe. I'm very curious to see if that strategy works for them still, because I don't think it will.
No, I'm just going to say it. This is my favorite looking map
It's
ever.
such a beautiful map. I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, I just love it. Yeah, we're all thinking it. I think right now, Burley taking a little bit of damage, drops the Earthen Wall totem to sort of stall. And here's the problem. It's going to be Blizzo and Zeepai all over him the entire game. Burley gets interrupted, and I just don't know if he can get away. But potentially Joel with Chains of Ice is going to provide enough snares on Zeepai and Blizzo to give him a little bit of breathing room. But so far, this is a horrendous start for DHDK Nation.
I mean, Burley is legitimately just falling over right now. He's trying to escape, but where is he going to go? They locked in Robodrome, a small map, but it's backfiring. Windwalker Death Knight loves small map, target down the healer, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing start to finish. Burley trying to avoid Z-Pi while Joel, at least Joel on the Death Knight brings in Chains of Ice, whereas the Arms Warrior does not bring in that powerful snare. So Burley's advantage is that Ghost Wolf makes him move very fast and he can't be slowed while in Ghost Wolf. So if Chains of Ice is applied to Blizzo and Z-Pi, they should be moving slow enough that Burley can escape. So this is better defensively than the Arms Warrior, but then again, offensively is worse. So it's just a matter of, can Burley make it into that deep dampening stage? Can he make it there with enough mana to get purges and be aggressive against Looney, Blizzo, and Z-Pi? Because another thing to take into account, like we said at the start of the tournament, the item level has gone up. We're up to 445 item level, I believe. Overall, the stamina and the health pools of the players is up. So any percentage-based healing is incredibly powerful. So the Ysera's Gift for the Restoration Druid, the Reverse Harm for the Windwalker Monk, the Death Strike for the Death Knight, these healing effects are even more powerful now in patch 8.2, which makes the composition that Wildcard Gaming is running so difficult to kill before dampening. And the only way they can get around it is by getting into the deep stages of dampening, uses the Restoration Shaman's utility, the Purge, to remove heal over time effects from the Druid and then overwhelm a target. To me, that's the only way they're going to find a win condition against this team, but already it's looking almost impossible. Burley trading out 2 major defensive cooldowns to survive that exchange, managing to at least find pressure on Blizzo and find the touch of Karma. If he overextends, maybe there's some potential, but the momentum is still so heavily in favor of Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, one of the nice essences that's been added, especially for the Windwalker Monk, is the Conflict and Strife. It gives you basically an additional PvP talent, so it's preset for every class. For Windwalker Monk, it's that Expel Harm, and that's basically a mandatory PvP talent that basically every single Windwalker Monk uses. So you can see Blizzo, now that he has that access, he can basically use whatever PvP talent he wants, and Burley might just fall down. Right now, Darkness gets dropped down, Burley runs out of it, but there's just not enough healing. Wildcard Gaming is able to run over.
Houston is running the Conflict and Strife. I feel like their Vision of Perfection is kind of the go-to for the Demon Hunter, as it just activates your Metamorphosis more frequently. The Honor talent is similar. It reduces the cooldown of your Metamorphosis to 2 minutes rather than 4 minutes, but it also cuts its duration in half, so it's effectively the same value. You get maybe a bit more mobility, but I really don't think that that Honor talent, the extra versatility, outweighs the activation and extra Metamorphosis time. Already big cleave damage out from Joel and Houston on this Frost Death Knight. Demon Hunter and Looney maybe not expecting this amount of damage thrown his way this early on. Frost Death Knight did receive quite a few buffs moving into patch 8.2, and paired up with the Havoc, Demon Hunter brings in a ton of multi-target damage. So if we see these grips into triple stuns, this could be a new strategy that DHDK Nation pioneer.
Yeah, both Looney and Blizzo have already had their Gladiator Safeguard activated. That's another change in 8.2. The shield is much stronger than it was in 8.15. So if Blizzo and Looney, they're low and they have this trinket, it's going to be a big safety net. Fortunately for DHDK Nation, they've already managed to shred through both of those defensives for Blizzo and Looney, and now they'll be a little bit more exposed during a next big swap attempt like that. I think one of the major things the Frost Death Knight has going for it is Heartstop Aura, in addition with the talent Delirium, and that's going to put a lot of cooldown reduction, or add a lot of cooldown reduction to things that the Windwalker Monk and the Restoration Druid have available, and allow them to stay on target a little bit longer. I think that's basically the main advantage of a Frost Death Knight. Burley taking quite a bit of damage. Z-Pi all over him at this point, trying to escape. Looney all over him as well. Burley looking for some counter cross crowd control onto Looney, but unable to find it. And it looks like everyone is basically stable at this point in the game. Looney is a little bit ahead on mana.
Joel running the Conflict Strife Essence as well to get activated. Chill Streak, the Honor talent, which is the snowball that you see Joel throw out when there's multiple targets. That's going to bounce multiple times and do good damage to multiple targets, so it pairs well for their composition. Currently, Burley is struggling through the pressure of Wildcard Gaming. I believe this is the first time we've seen Burley switch off of his Restoration Shaman, so when facing Wildcard Gaming, BlizzCon veteran players, this is going to be quite stressful for him to deal with, already going through a lot of cooldowns and maybe just falling over. Blizzo is stunned for a moment, allowing Burley to escape, catch a quick little Swift Mend, but then interrupted on the regrowth. He needs to connect this soul to force regrowth as soon as possible. If he's interrupted again, it may be the end of the match. Looks like he's managed to just escape, but overlapping his Swift Mends, using both in that exchange, so recovering later on could be difficult.
Yeah, Burley doing quite well on mana. Looney still just a little bit ahead, as Houston looking to reverse that with a mana reft of his own. Looney getting targeted down. Good damage coming out from Joel and Houston. Had good pressure in this game. The most we've seen from DHDK Nation in the series so far. Burley does manage to escape. The question for me is he ever going to be able to sneak away and drink? I don't think Joel on the Frost Death Knight can sustain himself quite as much as normally you'd see an Unholy Death Knight. Now Burley getting swapped. He was caught into a stun. What are they going to be able to do? Houston drops out the darkness to avoid a lot of that damage, but a beautiful Cyclone comes in from Looney, stalling up Burley's HP. They're not able to get full value from the darkness. Now Burley's way behind.
And Burley's running the Artifice of Time essence, so that was cycloned as well. It absorbs all of the damage and healing and then does it later over time. So Burley denied on lots of his defense from that Cyclone, now totally exposed. This is a perfect tunnel strategy from Wildcard Gaming throughout this entire series. Even here with Burley making the switch, maybe? I'm very surprised to see him still alive at this moment in time. I thought it was clearly over, but it still may be. Burley wraps around the corner again, desperately to escape to safety, but now Cycloned again at low health. If he gets stunned out of this, there is no way that he should feasibly stay alive. Cycloned again, huge damage. His Battle Master is worn out. One big Swiftman, maybe that's enough. Blizzo being avoided on the Fist of Fury. They stun it. That buys Burley a little more seconds to slip away. Is he going to be able to make it out alive? He's desperately trying to, but Z-Pi Blizzo still all over him. Gladiator Safeguard, can they dispel it? Are there any Blood Elves? I don't think there are. They're going to have to just work through the shield absorption, try and take him out. He's overlapped both Barkskins at this moment in time to stay alive. His mana not looking that great. Opting out of some of the mana regeneration essences for some of the cooldown ones. Definitely putting him behind in that regard, and still ultimately just getting destroyed. Z-Pi trying to push him. Blizzo force on top of him. Good positioning from Blizzo on that. I'm here on the top 8. Let's see how it performs. He was running a very aggressive build with that Dark Archangel. It almost makes me wonder if they're going to be attacking the healer Clyde, or if they go for the standard strategy of trying to kill the mage. The target is a bit up in the air as far as NLite is concerned, so Clyde needs to be ready for anything. Yeah, this is really interesting. Gellu's actually opting to play Ice Form, so instead of having the Icy Veins, he's going to have Ice Form, which is going to give him additional Frostbolt damage as well as make him immune to stuns. So if Cassidy and Kara decide to go after Gellu and he has Ice Form up consistently, they're not going to be able to shut him down with any sort of stun lock, and I think this could be an interesting choice coming in from Choccy Milkman. All right, let's see what they can get done here. Obviously, Gellu, I would think, is running maybe Conflict and Strife, so he's getting Temporal Shield, the Honor Talent baseline, so that then allows him to go for something like Ice Form and try this out. Against a Feral Druid, making himself immune to incoming stuns is definitely also an added bonus. It looks like they're going for the strategy of training down the Discipline Priest. Now, Rogue Mage, it can be quite a good composition at training down a healer. In the past, I would say that Discipline Priest maybe is one of the most difficult to kill. Zuniaki so far is doing a great job of dealing with it, trading efficiently, now getting counter pressure with that Dark Archangel activated. Pressure on 2 players of the team of Choccy Milkmen. Interrupted and very low on health. Ice Block forced from Gellu. Ratcher is still low, and it's almost as if the Choccy Milkmen don't know what they're facing. It's been so long that they've seen the Discipline Priest Jungle Cleave, and now maybe in 8.2 it is more potent. They still need to be on their toes. This is an elimination series, and Choccy Milkmen is one of the top contenders to qualify. They can't afford to go out this early. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. Cassidy, a lot of pressure coming in. What is Zuniaki going to be able to get done? Gets counterspelled on Pen is big. Shadowman's going to be landing onto Cassidy, and that's one of the benefits of the Discipline Priest. You have multi-school magic. You can heal with not only the Discipline Tree, but the Shadow Tree as well. So it's one of the main powers of that Discipline Priest, as well as the additional damage they're able to put out. It's been good pressure on a Ratcher. Cassidy now in a kidney shot. He trinkets out in Smoke Bomb. It's definitely not the spot you want to be as he gets Leap of Faith back to the pillar. Zuniaki should be able to top him off, but there's been really good pressure from NLite this game. Zuniaki able to put out tons of damage onto Ratcher. He's falling down. Clyde does manage to keep him alive off the back of the evasion coming in from Ratcher. That last defensive cooldown he has, but I think Choccy Milkmen, they're really susceptible at this point. Choccy Milkmen certainly are. I believe NLite's running triple Crucible of Flame, so they all have the on-use activated fire damage, and if they're timing this together when the healer, the Restoration Druid's in a freezing trap, it's a lot of extra damage. Maybe just enough to kill Ratcher here with 1 second left. It is! The Discipline Priest coming back in, looking strong, still a solid amount of defensive-oriented Rogue Mage, and I don't think that they played nearly into the strengths of it as they could have in game number 1. So going on to the Fire Mage, definitely going to be bringing more speed into this arena, especially on hook point. point. Now it's a question on if they can actually overpower NLite with that aggression. If not, it could be turned on its head. We could see NLite 2-0 up against Chalky Milkmen, potentially sending them out of the tournament within the first round, which would be devastating for the Chalky Milkmen summer season because they're tied on points right now. They would fall so far behind, they can't afford to have that happen. So substituting in Mystic, and it looks like they're trying to kill the Discipline Priest again. And I'm not sold on this. If you're going to try and kill the Discipline Priest, then bring in 2 melee classes. Get rid of the Mage. Mystic is taking a beating right now by NLite. They are punishing this aggressive push onto Zuniaki very effectively.
Yeah, Zuniaki's trying to escape. He can't keep himself alive at this point. Rapture gets traded out. He's already used Power Word Barrier, a lot of his major defensive cooldowns, and he's not topped off. He's really struggling. Full Hammer of Justice comes in. If Gelu and Mystic can stay on top of him, Zuniaki might really struggle in this matchup. Pain Suppression gets used. Cassidy and Kara, they have to start finding some damage and finding some pressure because NLite slowly but surely is going to lose this game if they can't recover.
All right, Zuniaki, Ring of Frost, I think that was meant to hit some of the DPS members, try and peel. Gelu's main focus is polymorphing the Hunter as much as possible and then blinking over when Zuniaki is stunned and dishing out a bunch of damage to him. Likely running the Vision of Perfection to try and get some cooldown reduction on the Fire Blast, get more instant Pyro Blasts and deal more damage during stuns. Clyde, now with no Gladiator's Medallion, is susceptible to crowd control. Mystic is very low on health. He could just die. He is literally just going to die in an interrupt landed by Cassidy.
And here's one of the things. I don't know what strategy NLite's going to be implementing here. I mean, Zuniaki, he's on a timer. There's no question about it. He's not really going to be able to get away. Cassidy and Kara, they have to sort of force Mystic and Ratcher in a defensive form. If they can make Mystic and Ratcher run away and get off Zuniaki, then he'll be able to live. Otherwise, they're on a massive time limit. Zuniaki already getting tunneled down as he gets gripped. That was a really nice knock there by Zuniaki as he moves into position to land a double fear on the Clyde. They're actually going after Ratcher, really going to be testing this Windwalker monk here. What is Ratcher going to be able to get done? They shred through Touch of Karma, and Zuniaki's going to be able to stabilize through that Touch of Karma damage with the Rapture, and now it's Ratcher who's completely on the back foot.
Yeah, Ratcher, the first time, maybe not the first time, but definitely only a few times we see him on Windwalker. Zuniaki, this is what the weakness of the Discipline Priest is just being tunneled down start to finish. He gets gripped out of the barrier's protection, but Ratcher is overextended with his healer and crowd control. He has to run away. This is exactly what Zuniaki needed, a moment to breathe with only Mystic attacking him. He's trying to work through the interrupts. Even just Mystic attacking him is looking pretty tough to deal with. So low on health, caught into the stun. Pain Suppression, good trade. Zuniaki survives. It's actually Ratcher who's so far behind. The next freezing trap and Ratcher dies. Yeah. Quite literally, if Kara lands the next freezing trap, I don't think Ratcher makes it out alive.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to do a really good job keeping himself up. Zuniaki trying to stabilize, trying to stay alive. Stun over on the Clyde. Ratcher caught into a stun. I don't think he can escape, and I think you're right. Ratcher ultimately falls. NLite holds on, able to 3-0 Chalky.
Eyes on, I would say, formerly the Pumpers, or the majority of the team, the Pumpers at the time, actually bested Method Black in the Grand Finals, best of 7, and one of the Cups in spring with this composition, with the Arms Warrior Death Knight Mistweaver. And I would have to say that the Arms Warrior comp is probably stronger in 8.2, so if they were able to best them then with it, perhaps they can even do it more swiftly here in 8.2. Trainer stunned up early. Where's the crowd control to follow up? Doesn't look like they're going for crowd control, instead targeting the healer. We've seen this from Rogue Mage throughout the day of just training down the healer. I don't know if it's necessarily the best choice, or maybe they're just trying to bait some cooldowns, but they don't end up getting anything from Drainer initially.
Well, I think it's a good strategy for the Frost Mage and the Restoration Druid, particularly because there's not too many people you can actually take down. I feel like they're going to go after Waz in this matchup, try to create as much space as possible, but if you have Raikou and Chaz just sitting in the open, babysitting, just polymorphing Nerd Rage, putting Jamie in a Nova, it's really difficult for Drainer to really help them out with the dispels that they need to get out of that crowd control. So it's not too bad if they want to go after the healer. They can get a lot of control on Nerd Rage and Jamie. Looks like they're actually going to be going after Nerd Rage in this matchup. Drainer pushes in, gets some crowd control, nicely down on that Mistweaver Monk. Now Raikou, Waz, and Chaz looking to set up an attack here on Nerd Rage with a beautiful polymorph over onto Drainer. Do they have any follow-up damage? What is Nerd Rage going to be able to do? A beautiful intimidating shout slows down this attack. Drainer comfortably sitting through this blind as Nerd Rage just leaps away behind the pillar, but Waz in pursuit with a Shadow Step.
All right, Waz going to be switching targets here. I think ping-ponging is the best strategy. So ping-ponging basically meaning switching between two targets, that being Drainer and Nerd Rage. Jamie is just ignore him until dampening. Crowd control him, make it really difficult for him to deal damage, but you don't want to be attacking the Death Knight before dampening. The percentage-based healing going to be too difficult for them to really kill him, but he is susceptible to crowd control, which he is sitting quite a lot of right now, unable to really find a target. Waz is trying to run down Drainer while still applying damage to Nerd Rage on the way, and I think this is the most effective strategy pre-dampening for Method Black. Now, should they make it into dampening and Chaz has enough mana, Jamie definitely then becomes the better target because he doesn't run away as quickly as the Monk or the Warrior. Nerd Rage Bladestorming away during this attack while Trainer was polymorphed. He activated Bladestorm to immune being stunned and then escaped to safety. Good response on his part. Now it looks like they're switching to Chaz, trying to pressure the Druid away, deny some Cyclones, or maybe even open an opportunity for a kill, but didn't end up getting a bar skin from him, unfortunately. Now switching their attention back onto Raikou and Waz, getting quite a bit of damage onto both those members at this moment in time. Mana slightly in favor of Drainer, as it is likely to be the case. There's just so much more crowd control applied to him, and when you're crowd controlled for an extended period of time, you actually end up dropping combat, and your mana regeneration is increased out of combat, so Drainer will be regenerating a lot of mana throughout the fight. I don't actually think that Method Black have a win condition through that method, that rather they're going to win with crowd control burst or deeper in dampening sustained pressure onto Nerd Rage or Jamie, whereas Chaz needs to look to try and regenerate his mana with drinks, but maybe the new essences will allow Chaz to get around that weakness, with the Lucid Dreams giving him 50% off costs, a sale on his heals every once in a while, and the Ever Rising Tide granting him some mana regeneration as well. It could be that this essence shores up the weakness that Method Black have, enough so that they can make it into those dampening stages and then just overwhelm Jamie. I would say overall, defensively, Method Black, their strategy is on point. Just crowd controlling Jamie, really taking him out of the match. Nerd Rage as well. You're pointing that out at the start. They're doing a great job of just crowd controlling them. Now with an attempt onto Drainer. He's got the anti-magic zone, this purple barrier, reducing a lot of magic damage, but even still with its protection, has to commit the Life Cocoon shield as well. 2 cooldowns and 1 assault. However, it was the Vendetta, so I think that it was more than okay for Drainer to make that trade. Big damage onto Raikou, but a big heal from Chaz, equally so.
Drainer does manage to hold on. It's going to be just about creating space from Waz the entire game. Waz, of course, when he's left alone, he's able to get these re-stealths, which is really important. Cheap shot on a Nerd Rage, Garrote silence on Drainer. He lands the Ring of Peace. Nicely done. That should be enough to keep Drainer alive as he uses his Transcendence to escape danger. And what Drainer's basically doing in this matchup is he's trying to create as much space as possible. So Raikou and Waz can't connect on him at the same time. And if they can't take him down in a stun lock, it's unlikely that he will fall. We have about 30 seconds left until dampening kicks in. There's actually a new timer at the top of the map that I just noticed. So we can see exactly when dampening will kick in after 5 minutes elapse in the match. Nerd Rage getting swapped to. Decent damage coming in from Raikou and Waz as they make a swap. Drainer with a preemptive Life Cocoon onto Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage actually got cycloned on that Life Cocoon. He decided to Trinket out to keep up the aggression. Now Nerd Rage with no Trinket and Drainer with no Life Cocoon. There's a potential opening here for Method Black if they want to make a big swap onto the Arms Warrior of Nerd Rage.
Interesting. I think Nerd Rage is running the Conflict and Strife, which is a bit peculiar for the Arms Warrior. I would have almost rather him run the cooldown, the Perfection, the Essence of Perfection, or the Blood of the Enemy to get some extra damage. I'm not so sold. I mean, I guess he expects to be the target, so he wants the versatility that Conflict and Strife brings, which is allowing him some damage reduction while he is the target, but he loses out on mobility with the Vision of Perfection, and he loses out on a lot of damage as well, so I'm not sure if he can afford to trade off that damage for more defense. We're going to find out when we get into deep dampening if he is able to do enough damage then with this defensive build, then sure, it works out fine for them. But if he is unable to really get enough pressure going, then it may be the case that Nerd Rage needs to switch this essence moving forward for the rest of the series.
Yeah, disarm on Waz. Big leg sweep coming in from Drainer. Do they have any follow-up damage? Chaz with an immediate Iron Bark to reduce that damage. You can see Raikou and Chaz, they're just playing in the open. They want to extend Jamie and Nerd Rage, want to allow Waz as much uptime as possible onto Drainer. Drainer with a kidney shot on him. Frozen Orb gets dropped down. Big burst damage coming in from Method Black. What is Drainer going to be able to do? Fortifying Brew, he has the Life Cocoon, Safeguard procs as well. That's a lot of defense traded out by Zizon at this point in the game. And Drainer could be in some trouble. If he has to use the Life Cocoon, that's basically every single one of his defensives traded out at the same time. And now he did. There's no Life Cocoon, there's no Safeguard, there's no Fortifying Brew, there's no Trinket. And Drainer, if Method Black can stay on target, Drainer will surely fall.
I mean, he easily dies in the next attack, and Method Black know that, so they're actually going to switch targets to try and catch Drainer off guard, go after Nerd Rage instead. Not finding too much damage there, still just waddling their way over to Drainer. Jamie still sitting in crowd control. Drainer not really able to support him in this moment in time. Nerd Rage is trying to pressure Waz away with damage and disarm to deny some damage, but Drainer gets counterspelled. If this is a counterspell into a full kidney shot, I don't think he makes it out alive. Beautiful crowd control chain set up here. The anti-magic zone defense needs to be enough for Drainer to stay in the fight. Is it going to be? He gets bashed for 1 second. Waz is trying to take him down, but he's overextended for quite a long period of time. Drainer Transcendence is away. Chaz jumps on top of him to cyclone him at low health, buying time for Waz to waddle over, but Waz is taking quite a bit of damage on his way there. Chaz stabilizes him. Drainer cycloned again. Waz just needs to be able to get around the corner. He's not able to. Drainer catches the life cocoon. Ring of Peace preventing Waz from connecting, but Nerd Rage was still low on health. Locked down in a stun. Raikou teeing off, doing a ton of pressure. Now cycloning Nerd Rage at low health. Chaz's cyclones are beautiful in this position, making it very difficult for Drainer to really recover at any moment. Raikou tries to blink on top of Drainer, gets faked out by the movement. Drainer connects some big heals here just in the nick of time. Waz moving over, still trying to keep it a surprise as far as what target he's going after, but Drainer makes it out alive of that situation where Vendetta was available and he had no Gladiator's Medallion. Now his team is in a confident position.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the talent choices for Waz, I mean, he had to know he was going to be the main target in this matchup, so of course running that Gladiator Safeguard as sort of a safety net. If he can stay alive, I don't know how Method Black is going to lose this matchup. Big attempt over onto Drainer, cheap shot into Garrote, silence. Drainer getting really low, life cocoon coming up in just 2 seconds. Manages to hold on. There's been really good kiting and positioning coming in from Drainer in this matchup. Have to say he's been doing an excellent job. Method Black trying to find openings in the matchup. Nerd Rage getting a little bit low once again. Drainer kind of struggling. If you look at mana, Drainer and Chaz are relatively even, but I just feel like it's going to be really difficult for Drainer at any point in this game to get out of combat, try to sit down for a drink to recover that mana, but he might not need to. Right now, we're at 22% dampening. A warrior with sharpened blade, with an unholy death knight, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of reduction in healing. If Zizon can stay on target for quite some time, if they go after Raikou and can prevent him from getting out additional damage and they have high uptime on them, they might be able to actually take him down at this point in the game.
I still think Nerd Rage should maybe potentially at least try the Vision of Perfection. He'd be getting more mobility with the Blade Storm, potentially avoiding crowd control at critical moments as well. Just more mobility in general, which is typically the weakness when Frost Mage is on the opposing team. Of course, the Conflict and Strife is just a straightforward safe pick. You get, I believe, Spell Reflect or Sharpened Blade baseline, so you can run Spell Reflect more reliably and not lose out on offense there. Drainer interrupted, and they cut right through that life cocoon like butter at dampening this far deep, 27%. Mana in favor of Chaz. That is not good for Zizon overall. What are they really going to do to mix this up? I feel like Jamie has just been crowd controlled for so much of this fight. He's not developing nearly any momentum. He's not stopping any sort of mana regeneration, although Chaz doesn't even really need to drink. Definitely those new essences paying out for him on this composition in particular. Anti-magic zone to protect Nerd Rage, but that defense is now faded. Nerd Rage is even lower on health. Drainer doesn't have a Gladiator's Medallion. Waz has 2 targets that look pretty juicy in this position.
Yeah, I mean, Nerd Rage is really vulnerable here. He has the Trinket and the Die by the Sword. Drainer gets zapped! This is a disaster. Unfortunately for Waz, it was diminishing return. Are they going to be able to get any damage rolling? Pre-fortifying Brew on Drainer. They baited him, and now they're going after Nerd Rage. How is Nerd Rage going to respond? He trinkets. Heroic leaps behind the pillar. Drainer has to get in line of sight to land some heals, but Nerd Rage is line of sighting him. Life Cocoon comes in. Drainer has to get out some casted heals at 33% dampening. Of course, the Serpent Jade statue isn't going to be enough. He needs to land those enveloping mists if you want to actually top him off. Waz is pushing in. He's taking a little pressure right now. Chaz realizing that, throws out the Iron Bark to give him a little bit of added defense. But, I mean, Zizon, they're holding on, but they just haven't had any damage in this matchup. Method Black has been healthy the entire game. Raikou maybe forced into his first Ice Block. It could be. Temporal Shield comes in. They managed to get the Sharpened Blade. It's not available, unfortunately. Raikou will bounce back to basically full health, but at this point, if Zizon can stay up and have uptime on Raikou, they might be able to start really developing a lead, because outside of right now. Even right now, there's just no damage for Zizon, which is completely unexpected for the Arms Warrior and the Unholy Death Knight.
I think in this particular matchup, Zizon used to bank on the Gladiator's Maledict for pushes, but Gladiator's Maledict has been changed. It's a lot less front-loaded. It does a similar healing absorption, but it's over time every 2 seconds. And because it's not front-loaded, you can't just burst somebody down in a small crowd control window, which is really the only thing Zizon has is a small crowd control window. So now that the Gladiator's Maledict is not really an option for them on the table for pushes, they're not finding those ice blocks when they used to, and dampening is just continuing to rise even higher, potentially record-breaking here in this match. Mana is still so substantial on both sides. Waz peeled away with the disarm. Nerd Rage able to run that honor talent as a result of the conflict and strife, but I still feel like they need to focus more on damage essences, some more damage in general, because right now, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it out alive. I would like to see Method Black switch targets and go after Jamie. We're now at that 40% mark of dampening. I think that he becomes a lot better of a target than switch your crowd control to the Warrior instead with the Polymorph Cyclones and Entangling Roots or Frost Novas. So far, they're still continuing the ping-pong strategy of going back and forth between the Mistweaver Monk and the Arms Warrior, which is developing at least a decent amount of pressure on Drainer right now. He transcendences, but he doesn't transcendence out of line of sight. Waz reconnects with the Shadow Step. Drainer, in desperation to get out of line of sight, manages to connect some heals, but the Gladiator's Maledict actually absorbing quite a lot of them. Now Cyclone at low health, setting up for a kidney shot potentially here. They're trying to stall out, waiting for that cooldown of the stun to do it immediately while Drainer is low on health, but they disarm Waz right when he wanted to kidney shot Drainer. That disarm was perfect by Nerd Rage. Drainer tries to escape, but he's flurried, he's Nova'd in place. He actually has to dispel himself to get away from Waz, which means Nerd Rage and Jamie, they're going to be sitting a lot of crowd control without their healers dispel. Mana starting to be totally relinquished on both sides. Waz being pressured a bit, but he's actually still trying to go for the kill, interrupting Drainer, now going after Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage anticipates it, activates the Die by the Sword, but now at almost 50% dampening. How much healing can Drainer really do? Gets cycloned. He's not going to do any healing while cycloned. Nerd Rage is just cowering around the corner, hoping that Waz doesn't connect. They leg sweep Waz, but then Drainer gets cheap shot. Nerd Rage is going to be taking a huge amount of damage. If Raikou gets in there for a polymorph, it should almost certainly be the end of the game. And even if it isn't, now Drainer is susceptible to blind. Nerd Rage is cycloned on low health. Now in a full stun. Trinkets, Life Cocoon, Drainer doing everything in his power to keep this game going, but they still have so much to get through.
Dampening is just so high. What is Drainer going to be able to do? He has to trade out all of his mana, just spamming out the enveloping mist. Nerd Rage is almost just dead. Right now, Zizon, they have to find some pressure, but Raikou, he hasn't been forced into an ice block the entire game. It would be a complete throw by Method Black at this point. Full blind onto Drainer, kidney shot onto Nerd Rage. Do they have the damage to take him down? If Nerd Rage survives this, it's going to be an absolute miracle. Polymorph on Drainer, they interrupt the Cyclone. Can Chaz land it? Does manage to unfortunately get interrupted. Drainer caught into a polymorph. Good teamwork there by Method Black, and I just don't think Nerd Rage can hold on to this point. Cyclone onto Drainer. He ultimately falls. 55% dampening. A valiant effort by Zizon.
To proc randomly, it's Infinite Blade Storm.
I want to see Ripple in Time. That's what or Ripple in Space. Sorry.
Ripple in time and space.
Yeah, Ripple in Time and Space. We'll have to see if any teams. I think
I'm checking what he's running.
Out of all the new essences, I think Ripple in Space is my absolute favorite.
I'm using the new extension.
It's essentially like a blink for everybody.
He's still running Conflict and Strife. I don't like it.
All right, well.
Neither of you like it. Neither of us like it.
It's not that I don't like it. Oh.
The other one is more fun, and I like it more, so he should have played that one.
Well,
okay.
I don't know.
They're trying to win a tournament here, Sid.
No, it's about having fun. Isn't that what you were taught as a kid in like some sports? Like, are you playing for fun or playing to win? You should play
these
to have
guys.
fun,
Okay,
right?
these guys are definitely playing.
Kind of fun.
They're definitely playing to win, and winning is also fun. It's not the.
But they're losing, so if they lose again, it's not playing to have fun or win.
All right, let's see how this game plays out. Nerd Rage is going to be opening up onto Raikou. Can they develop any pressure? Drainer into a kidney shot. It looks like a similar strategy coming in from Method Black, where they're going to be controlling Jamie, controlling Nerd Rage, allowing Waz high uptime onto Drainer, and who is Jamie and Drainer going to go after in this matchup? If they go after Waz, then you have a free casting Raikou and Chaz. If you go after Raikou, then Waz is just sitting on Drainer the entire game, and he could just fall at this point. Barkskin coming in from Chaz. So far, Zizon hasn't been able to deflect Method Black at all.
Drainer's getting farmed right now. He got Ursul's Vortex on his Wildcard. He tried to get away, and he didn't, and then he got Cycloned at low health. Now he's stunned. He's just taking a beating right now. He needs to reposition, get to a moment, and recover, because He's getting stomped. Chaz is in position maybe to Cyclone again, but I think Drainer's still on diminishing returns, so Chaz has to wait. He's not able to. Drainer does recover finally throughout that, but a swap like that later on, deeper into Damphany, I really don't think Drainer makes it out alive, and Method Black are still employing the same strategy. Crowd control the Death Knight Jamie, Cyclone, Polymorph, Frost Nova as much as possible. Attack the Warrior a little bit. Drainer comes to heal the Warrior, switch over to Drainer, attack Drainer, he runs away, switch back to the Warrior, and make it so difficult for Drainer to predict who is actually going to be the target, so maybe catch someone off guard and burst them down. If you don't, it's costing Drainer more mana because he has to heal 2 targets. I think that it is an effective strategy Method Black are employing, and it's likely to work for them on this map as well. Tolvaron Arena, one of the largest in the pool, and Zizon are the ones who selected it.
So that's exactly what happens. Raikou runs into the open, Polymorph Jamie, Cyclone Nerd Rage. Polymorph Jamie, Cyclone Nerd Rage. Double Frost Nova, Jamie gets Cycloned. And it's just this type of control which makes it really difficult for Zizon to get anything rolling. I mean, Raikou trades out the Temporal Shield to survive, but that's you know, essentially a non-factor in terms of cooldowns, especially when Ironbark is still available for Chaz. Drainer's going to be put into the kidney shot. Good damage coming in from Method Black right now as they're continuing this assault, and it's going to be basically Waz onto Drainer, and then Chaz and Raikou controlling Jamie and Nerd Rage. That's the strategy we're going to be seeing, and I really feel for Jamie and Nerd Rage in this position.
Yep, having quite a difficult time, but finally some pressure. The Gladiator Safeguard going to proc. Big absorption effect there. More than enough time for Chaz to swift mend and swiftly recover. Nerd Rage getting swapped to again by Method Black, still trying to mix it up. And I think in this game in particular, when you see Druid versus Druid, you see the potency of the mana regeneration essences, especially when you're pairing them together, which you can with the Major and the Minor. So both Druids, I believe, are running the Memory of Lucid Dreams, which gives you the old school Innervate, where it just enhances your mana regeneration for a short period of time every 2 minutes. And then the Minor on that is just a chance at some of your spells costing 50% reduced mana. You pair that with the Minor Azurite trait, Ever Rising Tide. This just gives you a chance, especially when you're lower mana, have a high chance to regenerate mana back. So in patch 8.1.5, we would see the Druids having to sneak away and drink a lot. With these 2 new essences, I don't know if there's actually ever a point in the game where they will hit 0 mana. Raikou in a bit of trouble. They're racing the Temporal Shield. I don't think you're able to crack it in time. Temporal Shield healing back all that damage, although
this is
I will say the pressure is much higher for Zizon in game 2.
This is what you want. Temporal Shield down, Ironbark down as well. This is the moment Nerd Rage and Jamie need. Once those 2 short cooldowns are down, that's your window. That's your opportunity to push forward and try to take down Raikou, but unfortunately for them, Raikou was able to stabilize. Was realizing maybe my mage is in a little bit of trouble, so he's going to be coming back and playing a much more defensive strategy where he's going after Nerd Rage in this game. He's not really going to be able to set up Raikou for any sort of polymorph plays onto Drainer. It's more of just a live tactic. And we'll have to see if he's going to be able to get it done. I expect a Shadow Step Kidney Shot shortly to happen onto Drainer. Raikou does commit his Frozen Orb, trying to get some pressure rolling onto Drainer and Nerd Rage, but it's just, or sorry, onto Jamie and Nerd Rage, but so far it's essentially futile, not able to get anything rolling. There's a Kidney Shot over onto Drainer. What is Waz going to be able to get done? Drainer could be in a little bit of trouble right now. He has all his defensive cooldowns left to work with. We're at 4 minutes, 57 seconds into the match. Dampening has now just kicked in. The last game, I think, ended at around 56% dampening. We'll have to see if we get that high once again, or if Nerd Rage and Jamie can continue this offensive push on Raikou and take him down.
All right, let's see if Zizon can turn up the heat here and take out Raikou in game number 2. If Zizon managed to pull it off, they do take away Tolvaron from Method Black's advantage, which would then only leave Ashamane's, as Ashamane and Tolvaron, I would say, are the most favored maps for Method Black in this series in particular. But Jamie is actually very low on health. Suddenly, Method Black completely switch their strategies and go after the Death Knight a bit earlier than expected, and I'm not sure if he's going to make it out alive with Icebound Fortitude. Ironbark used at the same time during this assault. Cycloned at low health. Drainer used his Gladiator's Medallion on a Polymorph. Now he's fully susceptible to Blind. Vendetta is still available, and I'm wondering if Jamie spent his runic power aggressively, if he just wasn't even anticipating being a target. He wanted to get aggressive, and now that he spent all that runic power, he can't use Death Strike, he can't heal himself. Waz is setting up for crowd control, full polymorph secured, anti-magic zones defense going to be fading shortly. Any magic shield still available if Jamie needs to use it, but he's line of sighting Raikou. I think it's unlikely that we see it activated. Drainer bounces over, but needs to line of sight Cyclone. Jamie going to mind free Cyclone and allow Drainer to freely heal. Nerd Rage sitting through quite a lot of crowd control. Was trying to use the War Banner on something during that attack, but didn't end up hitting anything too valuable. Raikou going to snipe off the War Banner. Drainer has recovered. Vendetta is now no longer available, although Jamie as a target now in dampening. Method Black has shown that that is an option, and the deeper that it gets, the more likely that he dies. Jamie anticipates this attack. Anti-magic shields before the incoming stun. That was a nice read on his part. He takes 0 damage as a result.
Yep. And Raikou will survive. Temporal Shield, Iron Bark, those are the 2 check marks. Now Zizon, they need to get aggressive. Finally, some good spread pressure coming in from Zizon as well, because all 3 members from Method Black have been taking damage. Waz, and I'm curious to see if they do decide to go after him. There's a defensive kitty shot over on the Nerd Rage. Raikou's spamming out some Frostbolts right now, but not able to get too much done. Drainer in a healthy position in terms of mana. Chaz as well. I don't think either of them have had to sneak away for a drink just yet, but that might be something that becomes an inevitability at some point in this matchup. Waz getting swatted away by Jamie and Nerd Rage as he's forced to run away. Can't really continue the pursuit onto Drainer. And I think this is a good tactic. If Waz has too much uptime on Drainer, that's when Method Black starts developing a lot of pressure and momentum. So Jamie and Nerd Rage in a situation like that, they might have to go after Waz and try to slow him down just a little bit. But it's sort of a double-edged sword, because if you do that, then all of a sudden Chaz and Raikou, they can just free cast in the matchup, set up a lot of damage, set up a lot of control, whereas if they're just sitting on Raikou, although they're not getting the most amount of pressure, they're also not allowing Raikou to get out as many polymorphs, as many frostbolts, as many blizzards, and that slows down his damage and basically his specialization in general.
Yeah, I think going after Raikou is a lot better at dragging the fight on, although they still haven't managed to get a single ice block. Mana looks totally fine on both sides. I think with those new essences, any lead is not really going to be too much of a factor. I think it's simply just the healing reduced by dampening that is going to close this game out. It's a matter of how much momentum and at what point can teams force cooldowns. If at around that 40% we see both ice blocks already burned through for Raikou, then most certainly he's the easiest target to kill. But if they can't get any ice blocks before that, Drainer is so susceptible to just falling down. Blinded at low health, not using the Gladius Medallion on this. Likely getting sapped. This is buying time for Raikou to make his way over, although he's still very far away from Drainer. Waz is going to just sit here and babysit Drainer, sap him 3 times, try to give Raikou enough time to get across the map, but there's no way Raikou's getting there. Waz is going to re-engage by himself, managing to pull Iron Bark and Barkskin throughout this assault. Raikou going to jump over with the Frozen Orb, and at 24% dampening, they're just going to go for the kill. Anti-Magic Zone traded out, but then Cycloned at low health. Drainer trinkets on the Cyclone, but now susceptible to a stun. Icy Veins is still available. Cycloned again, buying even more time for Waz. The Vision of Perfection is triggered. Waz has Vendetta for a few seconds. That's a lot of enhanced damage. Is Drainer going to be able to make it out alive? Somehow, some way. Manages to hold on. Now Barkskin available in just a couple of seconds. Stunned up Barkskins, but he's not in bear form. If Raikou has any amount of damage with these Icy Veins, Drainer could fall. No follow-up stuns. A Cyclone again at low health. I mean, Method Black have full control of this game. I think it's an inevitability at this point for Zizon to fall over.
Yeah, Drainer, is he going to get caught into a stun? Preemptive Iron Bark on the Growth Sounds. Nicely done as he's trying to create some space. Chaz is controlling everyone up in this matchup. Waz, Raikou, Chaz, all 3 members chasing down Drainer. Nerd Rage and Jamie just helplessly in a Nova as Drainer gets caught into a bash. This could be the end of the game, and certainly will be. 30% dampening, Method Black, total control up. Yeah, and we'll have to see what they can get done. Method Black with all-out control in that last game. Zizon, we're looking for a little bit more early game aggression from them. This smaller map certainly should be able to help them. Drainer seems to be the target of choice once again. Garrote Silence coming in. Are they going to be able to find the stun? There's a disarm over on Waz, delaying the kitty shot just a little bit. There's a bash on Drainer. Nice attempt here from Method Black. Frozen Orb gets dropped down. How is Drainer going to survive? Just immediately Trinketing, or using the Life Cocoon, sorry, as well as the Way of the Crane. So Drainer actually opting to play Way of the Crane in this matchup. That will be a little bit of extra damage, and Sid, is that what we wanted to see?
I mean, it's just something that I would like to see. I'm not sure if it's ultimately going to be what can win them. Maybe they need to switch the composition entirely, maybe get the Arms Warrior out of there, try the Windwalker Death Knight again instead, because so far I feel like Method Black has kind of just been walking all over them. I mean, have we even seen an ice block from Raikou in this series?
No.
So, I mean, 2 games, no ice blocks, maybe 3 games in a row not getting a single ice block. I mean, something has to change.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Way of the Crane is enough. If they can get Ironbark into Temporal Shield, and that's when they use the Way of the Crane, that they might be able to take him down. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to check, but did we see Nerd Rage actually change up his
he's still running
essences?
Conflict and Strife, so is Jamie.
So it's the same gearing from them.
But the only difference is the Way of the Crane from Drainer, which he was running against these Rogue Mage setups in previous patches like 8.1.5, but without the Gladiator's Maledict up front pressure, much more sustained over time. I'm not sure if the added Way of the Crane punch is really enough on its own, or if they need that extra healing absorption. Drainer being pressured, Method Black taking full advantage of the small map as well for their own favor. I will say that Method Black, even though they get maybe an unfavored matchup or an unfavored map, they are always playing to the absolute strongest strategy. Given even their worst hand, they're playing to the best of their abilities. Luckily there for Drainer, his Transcendence did not get Ursul's Vortex back there in the midfield. It may have just been his guy's medallion or his life if it had. Jamie locked down in crowd control. Method Black still continue their consistency, making sure that they're not leaving any holes. If Jamie wasn't in a polymorph right now, that this could have maybe been an ice block on Raikou. Drainer does at least secure a triple stun, but net absolutely zero damage afterwards, and that's sort of the name of the game right now for Zizon against Method Black, is that it almost looks like they're doing no damage.
Yeah, I mean, they really haven't been able to find it so far. It's been a struggle for Zizon. I mean, the health meters do not lie. Raikou has been in trouble essentially no times throughout this entire series. There was one time in the last game where he got a little bit low, where he didn't have Temporal Shield and Ironbark, but there's always seems to be a safety net for Raikou on that Frost Mage right now. And if they can't start getting ice blocks out, we've seen it in the past, Zizon, especially with Drainer now running the Way of the Crane, they don't win in the late game in dampening. It just seems like the healing from the Mistweaver Monk isn't enough to hold through. They need to find these offensive push windows, and they're doing it. I mean, hats off to Drainer. Look at how aggressive he's playing. He's playing on top of Raikou. That's normally what you do not see. That's normally something you see from Mistweaver Monks, and makes them susceptible in this situation. But Zizon, they have to start taking risks if they want to actually land a kill in this matchup.
They're certainly going to have to take risks. They're already on match point. It's looking likely that Method Black are going to best them, but Zizon will have a second opportunity in the lower bracket should that situation occur, where they'll have some time to maybe see some other strategies as well from the other teams. Of course, this is really the first time the teams are playing in patch 8.2, so with these changes, some of the weaknesses that they may have had before are now strengths. Strengths could have become weaknesses. Strategies that they employed that worked before may not work now. So a lot of these teams are going to just be having to fiddle around and figure out what works best. So far, I was actually expecting the Warrior Death Knight to be a strong composition overall in the tournament, but this Frost Mage, Assassination Rogue, Restoration Druid looks impenetrable to its effectiveness. I mean, really, there's no moment in these games where I'm thinking, yeah, Zizon are owning. It's just not even a moment or even a couple of seconds where I'm thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for them, especially with the strategy they're implementing. Who do you go after? The Frost Mage? A lot of durability with the Ice Bearer, really powerful snares. You have a Restoration Druid backing you up. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk till we're blue in the face about how, you know, durable Restoration Druid Frost Mage is, but the fact of the matter is, Zizon, they have to try to make something happen. What are they going to do? Can they go after Waz in this matchup? Do you think maybe they should continue or consider switching their target? Like, maybe they should try to pressure Chaz. He's getting out a lot of these Cyclones, which are essentially game-winning for Method Black. If they could deny those Cyclones, maybe they could get something, you know, going.
I mean, if they could, I don't even know if it's just crowd control denial. There's just no pressure. I mean, you could say, let's maybe at this point just attack Chaz. Just say, okay, yeah, whatever, nothing else has worked. Target the healer, try and run Chaz down. Chaz is running balance affinity, so he doesn't have Guardian affinity to recover. He doesn't have the Frenzied Regeneration. They may have to just take that risk. Just try and run down the healer, because, I mean, Raikou is just taking basically no damage the entire series. Waz as well is quite durable. With the stamina pools where they're at with the 445 item level, things like Crimson Vial on the Rogue heal for so much. The Ice Barrier or the Frozen Barrier for the Mage heals and absorbs for so much. Ysera's Gift from the Restoration Druid is so powerful at this moment in time with the way stamina is positioned that it's so difficult to actually get stuff rolling. Finally, a moment. Waz is low on health. Avatar and Sharpened Blade, bit of a disrespect by Waz to not use evasion during this time, but maybe it's not even necessary. Shadow steps over to Drainer to make a swap, immediately seeing that Life Cocoon and going after a more vulnerable target. Raikou would like to move over and assist, but not able to. Drainer has Way of the Crane. They're running the grapple weapon, going after Waz with Way of the Crane. They managed to finally pull evasion from him. maybe all along Raikou was a bait. I feel like Raikou is one of the mages in every tournament that just takes the least amount of damage. But now Drainer still on the back foot. Transcendence across that Ursul's Vortex again. Fortunate that it didn't pull Drainer back in. I almost think that he would have been completely decimated if it had. Waz is marching forward, but without evasion, may need to be careful.
I actually like what Method Black does. Every time they go for these crowd control setups, they use a Maledict on Drainer, and then Drainer is basically caught between, you know, a rock and a hard place. What does he do? Does he dispel himself to get rid of Maledict, or does he dispel, you know, Nerd Rage out of a Polymorph? And it's a really difficult decision for them to make, and I think Method Black has been doing a good job so far. It's one of the things I've noticed that they consistently do in this matchup is when they get those full Polymorphs, they throw in a Maledict just for additional damage, and without Drainer being able to dispel it, that damage and healing reduction really can add up.
All right, now good pressure on both Drainer and Nerd Rage. Not much mana left for Drainer, but when he gets lower on mana, his Essence, the Rising Tide, is more likely to restore mana, so Drainer will likely bounce back between 5%, 20% mana. I don't think he will ever actually be totally tapped on mana, so he should be able to extend the game because of this. But if he gets interrupted or crowd controlled, then he's not going to be able to heal. So this, of course, Method Black have a lot of interrupts and a lot of crowd control. That's still going to be the main point for them to find victory, and it's likely going to be the way they end this. They interrupt Drainer. Drainer moves into midfield to try and maybe go for a Way of the Crane. I guess that's the one thing he is limited from using, his Way of the Crane. It's so expensive. He has to wait for those regenerations for quite some time. So even though he's low on mana, I don't know if he'll ever have enough to use that Way of the Crane again. Grapple weapon onto Waz. Waz likely still the best target, but they're targeting Raikou. They still haven't even tried to go after Chaz. I feel like at some point in this series, they should have at least tried it. They're playing so defensive. I feel like Zizon's main focus is just try to stop as much as you can, hit the mage, hit the rogue when you can't, just play to live and try and survive. But it's a strategy that's just allowing Method Black to walk all over them. There's no anticipation, there's no surprise. It's so predictable the way that they're playing, and Method Black can just shut them down and get every single setup that they want to because of it.
Yeah, Raikou with good control right now. There is a stun over onto Chaz as he gets gripped in. Maybe they're actually going to go after him. Double Intimidating Shout comes in. Raikou could be in some trouble, but Safeguard procs, Temporal Shields up. Iron Bark is used by Chaz. When big heals come in from Chaz onto Raikou, he does manage to stabilize. Drainer's mana is not doing well. Like you said, another preemptive Fortifying Brew onto that Kidney Shot. Nicely done. But like you said, Sid, the Way of the Crane is such an expensive spell that even though mana seems to be so good for healers, especially with these new essences, every single time he's using that Way of the Crane, it's a noticeable chunk in his mana pool.
They got one.
Raikou gets really low. That was big burst coming in. Drainer with the back, off the back of that Way of the Crane, manages to force Raikou into his first ice block of the series, and that's nice for Zizon, but unfortunately, look at Drainer's health. Look at his mana. How much longer can he last, Sid?
Way of the Crane got one ice block, so it's already, I think, better, but I still don't know how they're going to win this series, let alone even just this game. Drainer stunned up, refusing to use the Gladiator's Medallion. Makes it through. Raikou in a bit of trouble. Nerd Rage trying to chop him up. Drainer ports away. He gets out of the Ursul's Vortex before using Transcendence. That was good awareness on his part. Uses the Ring of Peace to try and interrupt Chaz, but ultimately gets Cyclone. That's going to allow Waz and Raikou to get right on top of him. Nerd Rage in position, trying to counter pressure, interrupting the Polymorph. Good damage on Raikou. Finally! Good damage from Zizon. Chaz is stunned. No Iron Bark for some time. Raikou in trouble. Second ice block likely here, although he may be on hypothermia. Drainer at the same time is still taking a ton of damage. Decides to roll out of the anti-magic zone. Actually rolls right back onto Raikou. Maybe they just want to punch a little bit, add some extra damage there onto him and try and close the game out. Both healers are totally out of mana now at this point in time. Raikou interrupted. Nerd Rage is carrying. Perhaps Method Black have left Nerd Rage open for far too long. He's been owning Raikou. Chaz interrupted by Jamie, but Drainer's in a stun. Who's going to fall first, Drainer or Raikou? Temporal Shield is absorbing all this damage. It's going to heal back for quite a lot. Drainer ports away. Waz is still trying to solo him. He's got Vendetta. Drainer tries to anticipate it with the Fortifying Brew activated, but its defense is now over. He drops Ring of Peace, rolls through it. Waz is going to Cloak of Shadows to immune the knockback and try and reconnect. Waz is in position. Raikou's got control of Nerd Rage. Raikou's back at full health, still with one ice block. Drainer can't Way of the Crane for some time. Jamie's in a Cyclone. All three players of Zizon unable to commit any actions at this moment in time. Grapple weapon on Waz to try and slow down the pressure, but Raikou is there as well. Drainer has to trade Life Cocoon. He's got absolutely no mana left, although it may be deceivingly low, with the Ever-Rising Tide restoring mana to him more frequently now. Chaz, his essences have definitely been restoring a lot of mana in this position, hovering at that 5% mark for some time. 35% dampening. Raikou with Ray of Frost, slowing Drainer and allowing Waz to reconnect. He rolls into line of sight of Waz. I can't help but feel that was maybe a bit of a mistake. We see the rallying cry of Nerd Rage, boosting Drainer's health, but even that boost of health is not enough. Method Black, clean sweep, Zizon 3-0.
Yep, clean sweep. Although it was nice to see Zizon, you know, they tried.
We're anticipating that they'd play Rogue Shadow Priest into Rogue Mage, so they tried to preempt that in the blind pick by running this Arms Warrior Destruction Warlock, a composition that we haven't seen for some time in competitive arena play. I feel like the last time this comp was really powerful was maybe the Burning Crusade, quite a long time ago, but in 8.2 with those Arms Warrior changes, the increase in stamina, Destruction Warlock's much more durable, Restoration Druid's just a solid healer. This is a composition that has come to the forefront, and now we are going to get to see it play out in real time.
Yeah, and who are they going to go after? It's a Mind Bomb onto Asgaroth, out of a Silence, into a Sap. Nice control from Change My Mind, and now it's Walrix that's in trouble, already activating the Unending Resolve. It looks like Minpoike is going to be moving in, lands the bash into a smoke bomb. Perfect crowd control from Change My Mind. Safeguard gets dispelled. Rallying Cry comes in. Walrix still on the back with dispels coming in after dispel from Valet. A nice Cyclone coming in from Minpoike. If they have any more crowd control on Asgaroth, this game could just be over.
I think it is just over. Venruki right here. Hellstone, Swiftman, maybe not. Asgaroth gets blind. He gets a Nourish. Gets another Nourish. Those Nourish is not really moving Walrix's health too much so here. If Acrolulz gets a proc on this Vision of Perfection, he could get a Vendetta for a few seconds and maybe just have enough damage to just kill Walrix. I mean, the pressure is insane right now from Change My Mind early on. They've gotten pretty much every single defensive cooldown from Diabolus, but now that that initial momentum has waned away, I want to see what Diabolus can get done. Who are they going to go after? Because so far, the damage output onto Acro and Valet, it's not really that high. Finally, some damage on Valet below half health. Asgaroth and a Cyclone. Minpoike getting crowd control there, which actually means that Walrix is the one that's going to have this turned against him. Iron Bark connects right between the crowd control, so Walrix is a bit more durable. Lobbing out a couple Chaos Bolts, gets silenced on the second one. Acro backs up Valet. Valet repositions at the pillar. Doesn't want to be tanking too many of those Chaos Bolts. Likely that Walrix is running the Vision of Perfection as well. I'm just going to double check that he is. This is very powerful for Destruction Warlocks as it summons in an Infernal for a little bit of time. He's actually not. He's running the Conflict and Strife, so trying to get a little bit of extra durability in this particular matchup. Walrix focused much more on defense and survivability. Although we've seen when players are doing this right now with the Essences, they lose out on some huge damage bonuses that may have actually been able to net themselves a kill. I definitely don't think the Essences have been figured out just yet, but that seems to be the trend. When you expect to be the target, you're running that Conflict and Strife, get the extra versatility, a little bit more survivability as well, some extra honor talents. Nixie now gets swapped to by Change My Mind, that Mind Bomb crowd control into a Sap. Nixie in so much trouble. Acro might just outright kill him. He trinkets out of the Stormbolt to keep the chain going. Does he have a Shadow Melt Sap maybe? No, a Cyclone, diminishing return, but even a diminishing return, it should be more than enough. Nixie on 1% is going to fall. Change My Mind, take game one.
Yeah, really well.
The better move would have been maybe to hire like a team coach or something to try and talk through some interpersonal difficulties and to replace the player. Okay.
Diabolus, just DM Super Tease on Twitter, and
yes, I will fix all of your interpersonal problems.
Okay, well there we go. Super Tease will fix the problems, but Warwick, I mean, I get why. Like even I clearly get emotionally invested into talking about Warwick. Love this guy. He's not playing in the game though. It is their patented Rogue Mage Druid here coming in for game 2 on Diabolus.
Yeah. Change My Mind. Perfect crowd control in the last game. What are they going to be able to get done this game? Already good CC coming in from Diabolus as they have initial momentum. Valet taking some pressure for the full blind on Minpoike. He trinkets out. Doesn't want to fall too far behind. I think it's a fair trade. Alec with the Kleptomania removes all those heal over time effects. And Asgaroth to the nice Cyclone denies the healing from Minpoike, and Valet still sitting at low health.
All right, Valet. Now he's looking to re-engage with crowd control on Asgaroth. Nixie anticipated this attack, feinting before the stun, reducing a lot of pressure. Good moves by Nixie there. Now he's trying to escape to safety with that sprint, but the Gladiator's Maledict has stacked up quite high over time. Asgaroth is going to have to dispel that. Now he's not going to be able to dispel crowd control, although really not many crowd control effects for him to actually dispel in this particular matchup. No opportunity to punish there. Smoke Bomb. Big push here by Nixie. Maybe a bait. They go for Smoke Bomb, but no cooldowns. This is to either try and bait or maybe even just outright force him. They at least get the Gladiator safeguard, but now Acro looks to reverse with a Smoke Bomb of his own. Valet going to drop out into that Void form. Tons of damage there. Onto Nixie. Gladiator's Maledict has stacked up quite high. A lot of healing absorption on Nixie. He's going to use Cloak of Shadows to strip that effect off and prevent prevent Valet from finishing him off. Now looking to reverse pressure for himself. Kidney shot Vendetta, good combo. Minpoike's in crowd control. Acro is still pressuring back. Is Nixie going to fall before Valet? And it's looking like that's more likely. Asgrath uses Iron Bark. That stalls it out, but Valet has time to Mass Dispel the Cyclone. It gets Minpoike out and gets him about and some heals here. Valet's going to stabilize. I don't think mana is really going to be too much of a deciding factor right now with the current essences, so the mana bars of the healer is a bit deceiving, especially when it's a Restoration Druid. I think much more so it's about the cooldowns before dampening, certainly, and then deeper into dampening is going to be the main point of contention. And Poike being pressured a bit, but he's recovering quite comfortably now. In position to crowd control Asgarath. Good crowd control attempt here with the Mind Bomb out of the stun. Nixie stunned at the same time. The coordination from Change My Mind is certainly there here. They're looking strong in this series. I would say that they're in a favorable position at this moment in time.
Yeah, Nixie's still sort of dancing, trying to survive. There's a full Ring of Frost now on him in Poike, followed up by a Cyclone. Good crowd control coming in from Diabolus. Valet in midfield, a little bit exposed. He gets interrupted. Big burst damage coming in. Alex managed to find the Frost Bolt. Gets him down a little bit low, but Valet gets caught into a Cyclone. Asgaroth now into a blind. What is he going to do? He has his trinket, his Gladiator's Medallion, but he's not deciding to use it. Acro goes for the sap play, now opening up on a Nixie. Asgaroth, this might have been a mistake. If he falls behind, might be difficult for him to recover. He sits through the sap, the blind, now a Cyclone. Now dispels Nixie. If there's a follow-up silence coming in from Valet, this could be lights out for Nixie. There's the silence, and if Asgaroth has to trinket out of this, it was not the most intelligent move to wait, but he does manage to let that greed pay off. And in the meantime, Diabolus is able to force out the dispersion from Valet, as well as a Gladiator Safeguard. Now Valet's actually in trouble. Minpoike still in Polymorph. Valet with a nice Mass Dispel. Manages to find it. He has the Void Shift. He has the Greater Fade if he needs to survive, but a nice Cyclone coming in from Asgaroth. Delays the heals from Minpoike. Both teams playing at such a high level. Diabolus
have certainly been able to climb themselves back into this game, in particular getting a lot of cooldowns from Valet in quick succession. Nixie again anticipating the attack, activates Cloak of Shadows right before being stunned. High awareness from Nixie defensively in this particular match, making it much easier for Asgarath to recover and opening up Asgarath to get these critical Cyclones at low health. Importantly, denying the Vampiric Embrace of Valet during that crowd control. Now Valet getting stunned up, but Minpoike will use his Gladiator's Medallion to break crowd control and heal. Vendetta available for Nixie, and no dispersion for Valet. And is Valet running human? I think he has got every man for himself, so likely he'll have that for a every man for himself Void Shift combo to survive the Vendetta. But if he gets smoke bombed and no one's in line of sight, Nixie has a big opportunity here to net a kill. They've got to be ready for it. Nixie is still expecting to be stunned here very soon. He activates Feint, but Acro held on to it. Now Nixie's going for the Vendetta play, but he gets reverse stunned on. Acro looking to lead for the kill on Nixie. How much? He doesn't have anything really to survive. Asgarath in a bash. Nixie very low on health, trying to vanish and silence up Valet. Gladiator Safeguard going to be a big shield exactly when Nixie had pretty much nothing left, and now Nixie recovers as a result. Asgarath mana is very low in this position comparatively to Minpoike, but again, I'm not sure if it's ever going to actually totally run out with those new essences, so it's deceivingly low. You can already see it bouncing back quite quickly to 50%, so I would say it's more so about momentum and crowd control and burst, and basically not about mana whatsoever in this current meta. Ooh, kidney shot on Valet. He has the dispersion. He has the fade. Is he going to be able to greet it with just the fade? Nice life grip coming in from Valet on him, and Poike freeing him up from that Ring of Frost, but Alec didn't waste it. Really nicely done. Also manages to sneak in the poly. Now Valet getting bursted down, forced into the dispersion. Now, there's no Void Shift. The Void Shift. There's no fade, there's no dispersion. He still has the Void Shift, so there is some defense here for Change My Mind. I think he actually has a Gladiator Safeguard. It does proc, and Poike has a little bit of work to do ahead of him. There's the Safeguard, actually. Big shields, gets the spell there. Nicely done by Alec. Waiting for that Kleptomania spell steal to remove that massive shield coming in from the Safeguard. Allows them to keep up the pressure. Yeah, Valet in a lot of trouble. There's not much left here. Void Shift, but he wants to hold on to it as long as possible. Asgarath sitting through a Mind Bomb. No follow-up, but Nixie trades anyway, his Evasion and Cloak of Shadows. It looks like he just wants to get aggressive and close the game out. He knows that he's pretty close, but Acro is on his heels trying to peel him away, doing his best, but not enough damage to kill him. Asgarath recovers with the Swift Mend. Valet is isolated. Double Ring of Frost into Cyclone. Beautifully set up here by Alec. Valet going to fade. He's immune to damage and crowd control. He's retreating away while Minpoike is crowd control, but Alec is right on top of him with that Ray of Frost. Asgrath switches a Cyclone over, halting Valet's recovery. Nixie looks like he wants to move over for a stun on him in Minpoike, maybe? He's sitting right on top of him. He's going to stun him. Void Shift right before getting silenced. That could have been lights out for Valet, sneaking in that defensive cooldown. But now they see the opportunity. They spell off the Gladiator Safeguard from Acro and look for the kill onto him. How is Acro? I'm so surprised to not just see him disappear from the arena in that stun. Minpoike Cyclone, but Acro makes the trade. The Cloak of Shadows recovering with that Crimson Vial and will be A-okay. But a full polymorph now on Minpoike. Two members of the team in a bit of trouble. Even though Asgrath is low on mana, those essences still recovering him into the fight at this point, so I'm not sure if that significant lead that Minpoike has is really going to be of too much concern. Valet has Dispersion for the next exchange, which may be here happening momentarily. Nixie is stunned, no Iron Bark. Asgrath has to power through this. Minpoike has Innervate, so his heals are at least all free during this period of time. Managing to buy quite a lot of heals, but really not doing too much. Valet so low on health. Minpoike is just struggling to deal with the pressure here as dampening gets higher and higher. These assassination rogues become impossible to deal with.
Yeah, Alec putting out big damage here. Cyclone on Valet, Cyclone on Alec. Both the casters going to be frozen in time right now from that Druid crowd control. 17% dampening. Silence on Asgrath. The kidney shot over on Nixie. It's good counter pressure on Valet at the same time. Who's going to fall first? Valet does have the Dispersion. He has the Fade, but he gets interrupted. Do they have the burst to take him down? Doesn't look like it just yet. Kleptomania Spellsteal comes in. Now Minpoike has to play catch-up, but he's in a bash. Full Polymorph coming in from Alec. Very nicely done. Defensive Smoke Bomb gets dropped out by Acro. And a nice Life Grip going to be bringing Minpoike into that Blizzard, breaking the Polymorph. Unfortunately for him, Asgrath does manage to find the Cyclone. And now Valet still in a lot of trouble. He has the Dispersion. Is he going to be able to get it off? Greater Fade already traded out. Doesn't want to greet it too much. Looking for the cast, Safeguard, and Iron Bark. Ultimately enough for him to survive. He still has the Dispersion, but that's the last line of defense.
All right, let's see if the Dispersion is enough here for Valet. Minpoike activates Iron Bark right before the Smoke Bomb. That's a lot of added defense, allowing Valet to make it out of the Smoke Bomb without having to trade Dispersion. It's going to be very important for him to hold on to as long as possible for a push to kill Nixie. I'm almost wondering if at some point we see Asgrath targeted. I think it's unlikely with the Mind Bomb selected from Valet. Dispersion is forced with two members in crowd control and Change My Mind. Diabolus are taking control of this game, and if I'm Asgrath right now, I am smiley face about the new mana regeneration essences. Otherwise, he would be completely out of mana at this point, or would have at least had to have drink. He wouldn't be able to go for these Cyclones, so those essences are definitely high value for Asgrath and keep this fight going for some time, even being so low on mana. Crowd control secured. I'm not sure if Iron Bark will be enough here at 27% dampening. Valet fades on top of it to immune the Frostbolt, but Fade will be fading shortly. Big flurry from Alec, gets stunned away from Acro. Minpoike triggers a Cyclone. He's now susceptible to blind moving forward. They're still not recovering, even with Minpoike out of crowd control. Dampening here, 28%. Valet Cyclone at low health, denying Minpoike's heals even further. Asgrath can freely trigger this blind. I'm almost surprised to not see him just do so. I guess if he can get away with it, he may as well. Looks like he's not able to sap it either. They silence instead. Counterspell Minpoike. Alex sets up for the win here. If they get any crowd control off that, doesn't look like anyone's in position. Minpoike connects a couple of heals, but still dampening is very high at this point, 31%. Iron Bark activated, gonna be fading here shortly. Cycloned. I mean, Diabolus have full control of the match right now. Asgrath getting tons of Cyclones. There's the blind to close the game out. Fade is going to be ending. They grip Minpoike to try and stop the sap, but it's not enough. Sap is secured. Valet is somehow still holding on to dear life at this point, but ultimately will fall. Diabolus tie the series 1-1.
Yeah, the Dispersion was so close.
If they are going to go with the obvious answer in my head, which is to just mirror.
Yeah, why don't they do that?
They must just be scared, I think.
I guess so. I guess they're just scared.
Why? They're really good.
I remember at the Spring Finals, everyone was saying, even Meta Black was saying that they couldn't mirror Diabolus, which is so crazy to think about, Red.
They're a great mirror team.
Yeah, I mean, they have been for a really long time as well. Nixie and Alec together, they always seem to just make it work, especially with Asgrath. So if they can force Change My Mind to this composition where it's essentially a losing composition and there's no threat of a mirror match, then I don't know. I feel like some of these Rogue Mage teams, they need to work on their mirror matchup skills.
But Cloud9 was actually losing as their Rogue Mage to the Shadow Priest Rogue Druid, but maybe Cloud9's Rogue Mage Druid not to the same
Well, you said
caliber.
it was a pretty even matchup, right?
It felt like it was fairly even. I feel like the Rogues were actually targeting each other a lot more than we see in this particular matchup. Nixie is just gunning down either Valet. Actually, in this position, Poike trying to mix it up here maybe on hook point, a small map. Definitely a good strategy to go after a healer on a small map. They can't really escape too easily. If they overextend, catch them in a swap. But now Nixie is being the target of choice for Acro start to finish. Asgrath jumping into the smoke bomb, dispelling off some of the damage to try and save Nixie, but even still not enough. Cloak of Shadows forced to be traded during this assault. Acro continues the chain with a sap. Nixie on the run. Alec Frostnova's Acro, that beautiful Frostnova. Nixie's on such low health, but it stalled Acro long enough for Asgrath to get out of crowd control and now stabilize Nixie. Alec setting up again with good crowd control of the polymorph on Minpoike, but it's still his team that is falling behind. Nixie's just been at 50% health for some time. Asgrath is struggling.
Yeah, and there's still good pressure on Valet, but Nixie's the one that's in trouble. Asgrath's caught into a full Mind Bomb, and you can see Nixie's got no Cloak of Shadows. The only defense he really has is the smoke bomb, which he could trade out, but obviously wants to save that as an offensive tool, as well as his evasion. But through good kiting, heal over time effects from the Restoration Druid Asgrath, Nixie does manage to survive. There's good peels coming from Alec as well. A Frostnova on Acro with a Polymorph on Valet, now a Cyclone onto Valet. Just good control from Diabolus, putting them back into the game.
Yep, Diabolus definitely playing well here in game number 3, looking like they could just take this if Change My Mind don't change comp or maybe strategy here in this particular matchup. Diabolus looking very similar to how Method Black was earlier in the tournament in terms of their control. Nixie the target again. Asgrath denies the kill with Iron Bark. Mana really not too significant in this current build with the essences the Druids are running. So I think it's almost not even worth paying too much attention to the mana in this particular matchup. Any lead there is going to be reestablished by the essences, so it's really just all about crowd control and cooldown management. In this position, Nixie traded a pretty powerful cooldown evasion, which is basically guaranteed that he'll survive for the couple of seconds that it's active. But now it is over. Acro sees that opportunity, goes for a stun, and then tries to do some damage, but not enough. Minpoike decides to Cyclone Nixie and stall it out. Acro looking like he wants to move away and anticipate the attack of Nixie. They know Nixie has Vendetta available. They're preparing for that and how they want to deal with it. The best way they could deal with it would be Iron Bark, but you cannot use Iron Bark when you're crowd controlled, and Minpoike is running Relentless this time around, so he's stuck in this full blind and sap. So because Minpoike is in crowd control and not able to use Iron Bark, Valet will use Dispersion instead. I think this is a wise move here, as he would have to commit even further cooldowns should he try to be more greedy, use something like Fade that's on such a short duration. Valet also running the Psy Fiend, trying to maybe get some added pressure, some healing reduction from that Honor talent, but this Psy Fiend, according to the UI, had like 100% uptime, and they didn't even scratch the surface of Diabolus' health there, which is greatly unfortunate for Change My Mind here. About a minute and 4 seconds away from dampening. Likely going to be a necessity for both these teams in this matchup.
Yeah, Minpoike still being just tunneled down by Nixie and by Alec. There's good control coming in from Diabolus, just freezing Valet, freezing Acro, not allowing them to help Minpoike, and he's basically in this 1v3 situation. Finally, a kidney shot over onto Alec, and Change My Mind might have to change their target. Going after Nixie doesn't seem to be the best so far. They need to start developing some pressure onto Alec in the matchup. Obviously, the Frostblade is a very durable target, but if they can sort of control him and stop him from getting out the polymorphs, stop him from getting out the frostbolts, they might be able to take him down. Now an attempt over on Minpoike. Good control coming in from Diabolus. Minpoike is still just so low. And the strategy Diabolus is implementing, where they're just controlling up the DPS and training down the healer, this is something we often see from rogue mages, and it just makes it really difficult for Change My Mind to get any damage rolling.
Yep, if they can keep stalling the damage, maintain the lead, get into dampening, then really it should be them who can snowball this game completely out of control. If Diabolus win this game, I would like to see Change My Mind switch to the Rogue Mage Druid themselves and go for the mirror. They've had no success with the Shadow Priest Rogue into Rogue Mage against Method Black, and now it's looking like they're struggling even with Diabolus. I think something more important to note would be the point standing. I mean, Change My Mind are at 120, Wildcard Gaming 120, Chucky Milkman at 120. They're all tied. And right now, the winner of this, if Diabolus manages to do it, they could scratch ahead in terms of the overall point standings. They're at 80. That would definitely be a big win for them. They could pass all of the teams. I mean, every other team would be in the lower bracket or eliminated at this point. This could be Diabolus' tournament to get back into a top 3 if Zizon doesn't have a great performance as well. So I will say that this matchup means a lot for Diabolus, and it's looking good so far.
I mean, so far, so good. Good control, good damage. Minpoiki did stabilize, though, and now an attempt from Change My Mind. Nixie forced to trade out the Cloak of Shadows. He managed to hold on to, his Gladiator Safeguard, his evasion, a lot of his defensive cooldowns, but that Cloak of Shadows is just such a massive cooldown. It frees him from all the Shadow Priest damage over time effects, allows him to get off the wound poison, and now without that available, he's definitely going to be vulnerable. But he just has so much defense still left to work with. I don't know if Change My Mind is going to be able to take him down.
I'm not sure if they will. Maybe we see a switch to Alec at some point. I will say that when I watched Cloud9 in this matchup against the Move, rogues were literally just targeting each other. It was a bit of a race to see which rogue could kill the other first. So it's a bit surprising that Nixie isn't being punished nearly as much for overextending to chase Valet down as I would have anticipated based on how the matchup played in North America in the open bracket on GCD TV. But now in this position, 11% dampening, reducing the healing even further over time at the top of your screen. Over time, that's just going to continue to ramp up in terms of intensity. Mana still pretty much a non-factor, especially for the builds that the Restoration Druids are running with the Ever-Rising Tide and the Memory of Lucid Dreams. I don't think that mana is going to be the win condition for either side. It's just going to be a big push during deep dampening, or potentially a throw in terms of cooldown management prior to that point. So far, neither team making a mistake, so dampening will likely continue to rise, but it is an inevitability at that point, and at chaotically high levels of dampening, cross kills are possible. In this position, Acro is set up perfect crowd control to take out Nixie. Nixie drops a defensive smoke bomb to try and prevent Valet from finishing him off. The defensive smoke bomb bought him just a little bit of time there. The Colo smoke bomb keeps Nixie alive. A couple of extra seconds for Asgarath to finally pull him back into the fight.
Yeah, but Asgarath, he had to trinket out of a silence. He sat through all of that crowd control and had to trinket out of the silence anyways. Now, full blind secured. Can Nixie survive? He has to get out of line of sight of Valet. Alec, he knows it's panic time. He trades out the ice block. That defensive cooldown, he uses it offensively to try to help out his team the best he can, spamming out the polymorphs. Nixie's just still so low into a full kitty shot. He's got the trinket, trades it out with the feint. He has the Cloak of Shadows. He wants to hold on as long as he can. Asgarath has to connect heals. We're at 20% dampening, and a nice Cyclone comes in from Minpoiki, freezing Nixie's health. What is Asgarath going to be able to do? Nixie, good heals coming in. He gets topped off right away, and now he can continue to get aggressive.
All right, Vendetta available. Nixie looking to push for a win here. Who is he going to go after? There's so many juicy targets here at 21% dampening. Effectively anyone on the team. Nixie has a smorgasbord really right in front of him. Who is he going to eat first is the question. The Rogue Shadow Priest or the Druid? What? Smorgasbord. Is that not? Does that not exist in Europe?
Maybe it does.
That's a North American thing, I guess.
No, we definitely know what that is. I don't think it's from North America.
It's a Swedish thing.
Oh, it's a Swedish thing. We learned something new today.
Later, yeah.
All right, well, let's pay attention. Acro getting a little bit low. Gladiator Safeguard's going to proc. Asgarath in crowd control once again, but it's just Diabolus. They have all the momentum. There's a full Cyclone on him in Poike. Acro, he's in trouble. He's got no Cloak of Shadows. Can Alec and Nixie take him down? Counter kidney shot coming in from Acro to slow down some of the damage. There is a Vendetta available for Acro, but there's no openings. I mean, look, Nixie's got all his defensive cooldowns rotated back up. He's chilling hard. You can see Acro's the one that's in trouble. Iron Bark and Feint trade out and make him tanky. We're at 27% dampening right now. Both the Druids doing healthy on mana. Full Ring of Frost being channeled out by Alec. Unfortunately misses on him in Poike. Now Nixie in a kidney shot. Acro still just not getting topped off, and Poike definitely has a little bit of work cut out for him.
All right, Minpoiki now almost completely out of mana, but maybe it's deceiving. We'll have to wait and see. Dampening, though, is continuing to rise, almost at 30% healing reduction at this point in time. Asgarath jumps over to secure crowd control. This could be trouble. Acro sees it, activates Feint, but that's now over, and Diabolus are actually going after the Shadow Priest. Valet is just going to disperse right away, realizing that situation would be way too much damage. He's going to trade. He's going to get the access to extra mobility to get in line of sight of Asgarath to secure crowd control onto the healer, stop him from healing. Acro gets the follow-up. Nixie could be in trouble. He realizes this, activates Cloak of Shadows right before being stunned. Still has evasion. This is where the cross-kill potential could happen at 32% dampening. Mana lead slightly for Asgarath. Valet holding on by a thread. Nixie as well. Acro just trying to force Nixie away, maybe pull an evasion or as many cooldowns as he can before Vendetta. Valet gets interrupted. Void Shift is his last line. Is he going to have to pull it? I think he's going to have to. He's cycling at low health. And the thing is, if he uses Void Shift, Diabolus could switch targets. So Valet uses Void Shift. Acro anticipates the swap, activates Evasion and Feint right before Nixie went for the swap, immuning the stun, and now he is on top of Nixie, who's also going to Evasion, and now it's turning into a bit of a rogue race. Acro gets stunned up, Smoke Bomb gets dropped, Acro breaks out, gets in line of sight, but Minpoike gets caught in the polymorph. It's
nice
Dire Straits, Fast Dispel snipes it, but Alec gets the follow-up, a third polymorph for good measure. Even still not enough. Acro holds on at 10%. Minpoike, he needs to commit the Iron Bark. He Iron Barks him on 5%. Is that going to be enough? Is Nixie the one who actually is going to die here? No way! Acro and Nixie both in so much trouble. Minpoike is cycloned, Asgrath dispelled, but he's crowd controlled, horrified from the Vampiric Touch. Acro is somehow still alive at the end of that. Nixie is still somehow alive at the end of that. I actually think Nixie's in much more trouble. Asgrath cycloned, but Acro can't connect. Alec is holding Acro at bay with the Frost Mage snares and Frost Nova, using the Temporal Shield to absorb the swap to himself. Both teams surprisingly alive at this point.
Yeah, but we're at a healthy 40% dampening right now. Alec in a Cyclone. Who's going to fall first? Valet, he has the Dispersion rotated back up. He has the Fade as well. He doesn't want to activate them too late, or he might have to overlap. There's a full kidney shot over onto Nixie with a Mind Bomb on Asgaroth. This could be the game-winning play coming in from Change My Mind. Nixie, he's on the run. Interrupt over onto Valet. Nice crowd control coming in from Diabolus. They're trying to reverse the pressure. And now it's Valet in trouble. He's already used the Dispersion, not getting much healing from that as we are at 43% dampening. He's got the Greater Fade. Smoke Bomb drops in, and I think it's Valet that will fall. Maybe not, though. The Greater Fade and Iron Bark, he's had enough to keep him alive. Both teams pulling out miracles.
Mind control on 5%, so Nixie can't attack him and finish him. And Poike's out of Cyclone, but into a polymorph. Valet, there's no way, right? Is Acro just going to solo Nixie while Valet holds on by a thread? Doesn't look like it. Valet is still isolated. He's on the run. Wraps around the corner. Gets one. No, gets interrupted. And Alec is going to slap him to the dirt. Diabolus now as well against Method Black, but they have to win 2 times against Diabolus, and who knows, maybe Diabolus changed their composition. Maybe they have something in the tank as a counter pick in this particular matchup. Interesting honor talent selection here. I'm actually wondering what essences Minpoike is running, as Asgrath has Overgrowth currently and Minpoike doesn't. Actually, what? Maybe I'm trying to update this again here, Ven. Mine's not updating in time.
Well, you let it update. I'll talk right now. Fried Kitty, Alex, they're just going to be spamming Frost Bolts at each other. And a cheap shot over onto Minpoike. Looks like Diabolus. They want to strike first blood. Kidney shot onto Fried Kitty. There's a lot of damage available. Minpoike caught into the full Cyclone. Are they going to be able to get the crowd control they need? Beautiful interrupt coming in from Fried Kitty, denying that. Now a big swap over onto Nixie. He's caught into a kidney shot, already having to trade out his Vanish. That's a big victory for Change My Mind.
Right, big victory for Change My Mind. According to my inspector, Minpoike also has Overgrowth, so it's there it is. It has now shown up. Fried Kitty down at half health, taking a beating right now. Smoke Bomb gets dropped by Nixie, looking to force an ice block from Fried Kitty. If they don't get it, though, that is going to be dire straits. They at least get the Gladiator Safeguard, which looks to be enough to keep Fried Kitty going. Minpoike now cycloned up, denying some that damage reduction of his Iron Bark. I don't think it's going to really result in too much there. Just trying to take stock of the cooldown, see if there's any significant leads. Not really any on either front. Smoke Bomb's out of the way. Still a threat from Nixie's Vendetta. That is the biggest threat right now for Change My Mind, so I'm wondering how they're going to deal with it. Maybe just crowd control Nixie. Maybe they pressure him. I mean, there's multiple strategies here in this particular mirror. You could either do a Druid race, you could do a Rogue race, or a Mage race, or some mixture of the 3 of those strategies. Right now, Change My Mind, both teams are going for the Druid race. Asgrath gets swapped to, and Poike gets swapped to. Minpoike is disrespecting this one, not bark skinning while stunned, although he was in bear form and it reduced enough damage, so he's trying to get away with that added effect. Cyclone's Asgrath, but he's still being attacked. Quite a risky maneuver to try and go for crowd control this low on health. Manages to secure it and build pressure for his team onto Nixie. Another Cyclone as well, but Iron Bark activated, and with Feint as well should be more than enough. And Poike realizes that and cyclones Nixie instead. Cyclone stops all damage and all healing, so if there is a huge amount of defense activated by the team in this situation, Iron Bark and Feint using Cyclone and Nixie just holds his health at a low point and denies the added defense from those cooldowns.
Yep. Fried Kitty under fire. What is Acro going to be able to do? He lands a kidney shot. see damage right now. Alec and Nixie, they're putting on way more pressure than Fried as well as Acro. So good job by Diabolus in this matchup so far. There's good control. Blind over on Mpoike. He's forced to trinket out. But if you look at health, both teams are basically fully reset. Vendetta is available for Nixie as he gets bursted down. Good damage coming in from Acro. He's actually committed to Vendetta. Nixie forced to trade out the evasion as Asgroth's still in crowd control. Overgrowth gets traded out. Is he going to use the Iron Bark? Doesn't look like he has to just yet. We're about 3 minutes into this game. Interrupt on Asgroth. Nixie still not completely topped off, but I think he's going to be able to walk away.
Nixie's still not topped off, but now actually his entire team crowd controlled. Could be devastating here. Change my mind. Try and put Game 4 in their favor and move to a Game 5. If the mirror ends up being what they needed all along, I can't help but feel that they should have tried it so much sooner, especially against Method Black. When Poike, though, gets swapped to by Diabolus, they look to close it out. Gladiator Safeguard Absorb needs to be enough, but the Gladiator's Maledict's absorbing most of the heals, and Poike Shadow Melts tries to buy himself a second, jumps around the corner. Fried Kitty supports him with Polymorph on Alex, stun on Nixie, and Poike is across midfield, but Ursul's Vortex at the moment. Nixie gets over and interrupts him. If Alec gets over here, it's going to be game over. Where is Alec? He needs to get here soon. Star Search from Asgaroth. Nixie Shadow steps in. Alec gets in position. Ice Nova Comet Storm. Lights out for Mpoike. Diabolus advance in the upper bracket in that.
Taking their comp from them and trying to beat them at their own game.
It's been a while since we've seen Nerd Rage and Blizzo go head-to-head on Arms Warrior here today, and I think what is thankful for both teams is that Rogue Mage is giving each of these teams the most trouble, and really neither one of them can actually play Rogue Mage. So it's likely that we will see compositions that we haven't seen yet in the tournament play head-to-head. This Arms Warrior Elemental Shaman is one we haven't seen in some time, as well as the return of the Death Knight and the Warrior together. With it was occasionally popping up in 8.1.5, but I think it's going to be a lot more standard here in 8.2. So far, pressure is quite difficult to say. Both teams have been switching targets quite frequently. Now Looney getting swapped to by Zizon, trying to mix it up there, catch Looney off guard. Big damage actually on him. How's he going to handle this? Barkskin doesn't appear to be enough. Nerd Rage is just chopping him up. They drop the Ursul's Vortex. They Stormbolt Nerd Rage. This gives time for Looney to escape out of line of sight, but Jamie repositions over to the left side. Nerd Rage is going to be moving in here shortly. Jamie can't stay there for too long. That Pack Spirit nerf going to be reducing the healing of all the specializations of Shaman's healing, so you can't just solely rely on it. Blizzo now the target here. Zizon switching. Now going back to Looney as well. I would say that Zizon have much more control in terms of momentum at this point.
Yeah, Looney does manage to get behind the pillar. It does look like he should be able to stabilize at this point. Zeepai and Blizzo, they're trying to go after Jamie, but the Elemental Shaman is really durable. Of course, has plate armor. He's going to be able to use the Thunderstorm to knock Blizzo and Zeepai off of him. He's going to be able to kite around in the Ghost Wolf form, but is susceptible to damage during these stun attempts. When the Stormbolt comes in from Blizzo, that's when you're really going to see Jamie taking quite a bit of damage. A nice grip onto Drainer, bring him to Jamie with double intimidating shout. Jamie is able to get the Tremor Totem off and free Drainer from that crowd control. Drainer hopefully should be able to catch up at this point. There's a Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. Decent damage coming in. Nerd Rage actually having to play a little bit more defense. He's lost the pressure onto Looney. Now he has to come back and try to help Jamie.
All right, let's see if he can get back and help Jamie. The one advantage, though, of the Elemental Shaman is that the Ghost Wolf grants mobility, so Drainer's heal over time effects can support while Jamie avoids the fight. And this is, I feel like a match we haven't seen since Legion. And I would say back in Legion, the Elemental Shaman team was favored, so we'll have to wait and see if it's still the case here in patch 8.2. And it was mostly favored because the Elemental Shaman is so difficult to actually attack. Wildcard Gaming are mixing it up now. They're going after Drainer instead. Both teams going after the healers quite frequently. Drainer gets cycloned by Looney. They tried to intercept with an intimidating shot, but it was 1 second too late. Blizzo disarmed Looney and a Hex out of that. Great crowd control chain by Zizon, potentially enough to close the game out. Blizzo gets a shock, big connect, big lightning bolts. It's just gonna die through Iron Bark and die by the sword. Unlikely now at this point. Looney saves him, but at a significant cost.
Yeah, Blizzo still not out of it yet. Nerd Rage trying to connect. He trinkets out of the Stormbolt. Blizzo leaps away. Can Jamie take him down? Blizzo does manage to fall. Zizon, a nice attempt by them. They're going to put Gaming deciding to mirror match against Zizon. Blizzo on the Arms Warrior. A treat to see, really. Zeepai on the Elemental Shaman. He's been holding it down for years and years. And, of course, Looney on that Restoration Druid. He might be the X factor in this matchup. We'll have to see if Drainer can perform at the same level we normally see Looney. And Drainer, he has been doing a really good job, so I wouldn't even doubt it.
This is so great to see Blizzo and Nerd Rage go head-to-head on the Arms Warriors. Jamie, Zeepai go head-to-head on the Elementals, and of course Looney and Drainer on the healers. Drainer, again, is ulting on the Restoration Druid, but at this point, I feel like he's established a lot of confidence on it. I wouldn't say that he is dramatically behind that of Looney. Let's see if Zizon can clear this series up and really establish their position in terms of European power in the European Cup #3. We're halfway through the summer season after this. A lot on the line. I mean, these teams are second and third, at least, well, I mean, tied for third right now, a three-way tie there. So if Zizon gets knocked out, that's an opportunity for 3 other teams to maybe pass them. If they don't get knocked out, then they continue to build their lead. Wildcard Gaming can't really afford to lose this series against Zizon for the overall outcome of this season, let alone just this series.
Just getting a lot of pressure rolling onto Zeepai, and little things like damage done in a matchup like this really add up. Who's doing more burst damage, who's doing more consistent pressure, creating windows of opportunity for their team. I think that's something we're definitely going to have to look at. Zeepai getting a little bit low. There's been good pressure from Nerd Rage and Jamie, but a swap now over onto Drainer. He gets caught into a Stormbolt, caught into a follow-up stun by the Earth Elemental of Zeepai. Does manage to hold on, but he traded out the Barkskin and the Iron Bark. And Looney, he manages to find the Cyclone. What are they going to be able to get done? Right now, Zizon, they're falling apart.
Right now, there's a significant difference in terms of build between Blizzo and Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage still running the Conflict and Strife, whereas Blizzo is running the Vision of Perfection. So Blizzo gets some cooldown reduction, and he gets Blade Storms all the time. 100% Blade Storm uptime, okay? It's a mathematical calculation. He's going to be doing a lot of pressure and getting a lot of uptime as a result. I think that the Vision of Perfection is much better offensively. It's generating, it looks, at least on the health bars, looks like it's establishing a lot more damage. This is a matchup where I would love a damage meter to know exactly how far ahead each player is respectively in this given matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blizzo is a little bit ahead. You can see, look at the damage. Zizon, they really are falling apart. There's a bash over on the Drainer. You can see Jamie, he's 40% health. Nerd Rage is getting low. Big swap over on the Drainer. Caught into a Stormbolt. He's used the Iron Bark as well as the Barkskin and Safeguard procs. Blizzo chopping everyone up in this matchup with Zeepai backing him up. Looney's barely breaking a sweat so far. Zeepai, he's doing quite well on health. There has been a stabilization period here for Zizon as they do manage to hold on. Jamie safeguard procs from him as he's looking to get behind the pillar and avoid some of this incoming damage, but the pressure really is unrelenting. Finally, Zizon building up a little damage, but the Lightning Lasso onto Jamie forces out his Trinket and the Astral Shift.
That's the only difference in terms of build, is just the essence. And I think Blizzo, when I'm kind of cheating, looking over at another screen with the damage meter, I think he's doing double the damage of Nerd Rage or close to it. And it's really established here in this game. I mean, Drainer is struggling to recover. Jamie hovering at 20%. Iron Bark, is that even going to be enough here? Looney gets swapped too. Zizon are trying to create a miracle here, catch Looney off guard, but he's repositioned, he's recovering. Jamie trying to reposition, but Lightning Lasso from Zeepai. There's no one there to stop it. Fully channeled Lightning Lasso into an Earth Shock. Nerd Rage moves in, intimidating shout on Zeepai, trying to stall the fight. Drainer comes out of the Cyclone, tries to connect some heals. Elemental Shaman of Jamie in a bit of trouble right now. No Astral Shift, no Iron Bark, 18 seconds away, so Jamie's going to avoid the fight, stay very far away. Use Lightning Lasso almost just to hold Looney in place. Nerd Rage going to switch to Looney as well. Both of these compositions are, well, it's the same composition. They're explosive. You can switch targets quite easily when you've built up Maelstrom. Just drop down a Stormbolt with a couple of Earth Shocks, and suddenly you've got pressure. So every single player in this game needs to be aware of that. They could be a target at any moment.
Yeah, Jamie with good cutting. Good Thunderstorm, forcing Blizzo to sort of attack Nerd Rage at this point. Blizzo gets caught into a Stormbolt. Looney, he has the Iron Bark, but he's just focusing on control right now. Drainer getting caught into the Cyclone, finally freed up. He can play catch-up with his team right now. Jamie did a really good job there avoiding damage during that moment where Drainer really couldn't heal him. Finally, the Iron Bark comes in from Drainer. That should keep him alive. We're about 30 seconds away from dampening kicking in. And really, anyone could have fallen at any point.
Blizzo just procced 3 Blade Storms in a row, and I was just watching him spin on Jamie. Drainer now getting swapped to. Blizzo proccing another Blade Storm on Drainer. Very low on health. If he gets there to connect and execute, it might be the end of the game. Gladiator Safeguard procced. Zeepai's going to purge that off. Blizzo has sharpened Blade up. He's in battle stance. Blizzo is ready to close it. He's going to leap back, though. Looney's in trouble. Is he going to be able to save Looney? Both warriors blade storming at each other. Nerd Rage storm bolted at low health. He's going to use the trinket die by the sword. That's going to prevent the kill on him. What's the mana situation like right now? Mana may matter between these compositions. Drainer got some back, but Nerd Rage is cycloned at low health. Looney's looking to reposition.
Oh, nice!
Could be the end of the game. Big connect on a Nerd Rage. Where's Blizzo? He needs to get over there. He's getting a healing surge from Zeepai and Jamie. Both elementals healing each other's warriors, saving the day there. Dampening has kicked in, and things are going to get chaotic from this point on.
Yeah, lightning lasso over onto Looney. Is he going to be able to survive? He's trying to cut away, but Nerd Rage is all over him. Finally getting a little bit of room to breathe. Goes with a light thunderbolt, or sorry, a bolt over onto Jamie, a storm bolt. There we go, got the right name. Onto Jamie, controlling him up just a little bit. We're at 5% dampening. Both teams are sort of stabilizing. We look at mana, both druids are relatively even. I would say in terms of cooldowns, Wildcard Gaming has a little bit of a lead, but really nothing too significant.
All right, teams are even here in dampening. Zizon, can they clear this series up? Just go for the clean 3-0 against Wildcard Gaming. I wouldn't have ever anticipated that. Wildcard Gaming, they were the clear rivals of Method Black for so long, but they're just falling off at this point in the tournament series. They need to have a good comeback. They can't afford to lose to Zizon in this series. I would say that they've had good momentum in the earlier stages, but now with dampening kicked in, the teams are totally evened off. It's still anyone's game.
Yeah. Trainer opting to use his Iron Bark as well as his Innervate to get some additional healing rolling on his team. Zeepai could be in some trouble. Nerd Rage is all over him. He has the Avatar rolling. Lightning Lasso as defense from Zeepai as he's using this pillar to escape, and he's actually developed a lot of pressure on Nerd Rage. He has to be careful. There is no die by the sword available, and Blizzo is all over him. Triple Fear coming in, Lightning Lasso on Zeepai to deny the Tremor Totem. Really good setup there coming in from Wildcard Gaming. See Zeepai right now still developing some pressure. Nerd Rage turning his attention onto him as both warriors are attacking the elemental shamans. And actually, both teams are completely stabilized.
Both teams stabilized here. Mana still even. Looney getting crowd controlled on his Innervate, though. That may put him slightly behind. Jamie has Astral Shift available. I feel like, though, Blizzo has not had to even come close to using Dive of the Sword. Zeepai neither with his Astral Shift. So if that continues, the momentum moving into dampening, I feel like Wildcard Gaming should be more than capable of taking this and tying it up, which then opens up the board. Is Zizon going to stay with the mirror, or are they going to play something else? Zico was saying in the pregame analysis, I think they're actually counters to the Warrior Elemental. Like you said, the Frost Mage Elemental, Windwalker Frost, I feel like would do decently fine in this particular matchup. Jamie in a lot of trouble. Momentum swinging heavily in favor. Blizzo is just chopping Jamie to pieces, turning him into salami at this point in the game. There's no more defense remaining. Mana is limited. Dampening is high. Jamie uses Lightning Lasso in desperation to hold Blizzo at bay. Nerd Rage pulls back to assist. They're trying to kill Blizzo. He is overextended with no Gliders Medallion. Can they KO Blizzo on the overextension? No. Denied, but at the cost of the entire defensive lineup, and good positioning from Jamie at least keeps his team in the game.
Yeah, nicely done. Blizzo in battle stance right now, playing really aggressive. He wants to take down Jamie, but it could cost him. Nerd Rage really chopping him up right now. Jamie manages to escape. If we look at Mana, Looney way ahead, but like you said, Blizzo, he committed everything. There's no Dive of the Sword, there's no Iron Bark for another 15 seconds. Blizzo just still overextending on Jamie. This could be a big mistake. Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. Nerd Rage developing a lot of pressure. Drainer just spamming out the Solar Rafts. They were really looking to close out the game, but Looney in a position where he could essentially just free cast, easily keeps Blizzo alive despite the 23% dampening. Wildcard Gaming stay in it, but that was a really nice offensive push by Zizon. Good offensive push there. I don't even know if it was an offensive push. It was more of like a counter push. But Jamie has been the main focus. Maybe the Warriors end up being the target. I mean, Elemental Shaman is so difficult to actually stay on as an arms warrior. Blizzo with the essence of Provision of Perfection with Bladestorm proccing multiple times, gets him out of slows, could be an advantage if this ends up being a Shaman race for both teams. I would say that Blizzo is favored if that ends up being the case. Whereas if Nerd Rage goes after Blizzo, he can support a lot more. He's running the disarm, he's running the duel. He's going to add a lot more defensive utility to stop the damage of the Warrior. I think that we would like to see Nerd Rage targeting Blizzo instead in this position. He's spending a lot of time on Jamie. Jamie still has lots of defense. He's been leaving Blizzo alone. I don't think that this is going to be the best risk. Maybe it will. They do manage to finally pull an Astral Shift from Zeepai.
Drainer's been adding quite a bit of damage to the fight with Moonfire, adding in some stuns, although maybe unnecessary War Stomp there. Blizzo gets Ursa's Vortex on his leap. Zpi is still low on health. Looney in crowd control. Where's the Tremor? They drop the Tremor. Now in a reversal, Blizzo gets a double intimidating shout. Much more high value on that. Jamie has to use Guider's Medallion, Tremor Totem to break it. Nerd Rage down at about half. Still has died by the sword. Iron Bark activated instead. Zpi is now the most vulnerable target in the game with no Iron Bark and no Astral Shift. Wildcard Gaming need to buy time for that defense. They're trying to buy time by attacking Nerd Rage and forcing him away, but they're not even forcing him away. He doesn't care. He's pushing for the win. Lightning last one to Zpi. Nerd Rage goes into battle stance. He's trying to close it out, lead the series 2-0. Can he connect? Blizzo stalls him out with a stun. Zpi follows up with another stun, wraps around the corner, catches a healing surge, stabilizing himself, and now it's Nerd Rage who spent maybe too much time in the deep end.
Yeah, Jamie getting hit by a huge Earth Shock in that moment. Zpi putting out good pressure. Iron Bark looking to keep him alive. Drainer, he doesn't really have too much mana left to work with right now. Jamie really struggling to get topped off. Drainer finally lands the Iron Bark. There's a bash over onto Jamie, but it may be too little too late. He has no mana. Wildcard Gaming has a big lead in that regard. Looney's been doing a really good job managing his mana in this game. There's a Cyclone over onto Jamie, now onto Drainer. Beautiful control. How is Jamie going to survive this situation? He tries to kite away in Ghostwolf, but I just don't think it's enough. Blizzo with a nice interrupt with that pummel is able to land the execute.
Mistweaver ends up feeling much better. I actually think Looney will switch to Mistweaver, but if it isn't drastically superior should Zizon win this, then no, I don't expect Looney to switch over, but that would definitely be interesting to see if Looney can prove his dominance on Druid and Mistweaver in the same series against Drainer.
I wonder if they're just going to be going after Looney and trying to use that to their advantage. Drainer can maybe keep himself alive a little bit easier. Drainer just trades out the Life Cocoon. That's one thing he does consistently, is he just doesn't want to fall behind on the Mistweaver Monk. He's completely willing to just trade out that very powerful Life Cocoon to avoid a lot of the incoming damage to top off his team. And I think it's intelligent. The worst part about the Mistweaver Monk is if you fall behind, you make yourself very susceptible to interrupts. Actually, Drainer gets caught into a full intimidating shout right now, as well as Jamie. That was really nicely set up. Nerd Rage could be in a little bit of trouble. He's getting low. There's not too much backup, and there's no Life Cocoon. Do you think Drainer is going to be able to keep him alive?
I mean, at this point, it's not looking too good. Now pummeled and unable to heal.
Oh, no!
Hit. They're trying to hold on and not use the die by the sword, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to get away with that exchange. Looks like they're going to be able to get away with it. Now trying to switch to Looney again and try and push him away and deny some Cyclones. Drainer getting swapped to for a moment. He's going to Transcendence around out of line of sight. Use Ring of Peace to stop the reconnect. Looney tries to Cyclone him. Drainer max ranges it. Looney, is he going to go for the Cyclone again? Doesn't look like it. We see a Hex on Jamie. This is the advantage of the Druid, is you can remove Hex, whereas Drainer can't. So Jamie is going to sit every single Hex from Zpi. They Cyclone him out of Hex. This added crowd control may be a factor for Wildcard's victory later on.
Yeah, Blizzo caught into a Lightning Lasso, and you can really tell. I mean, Lightning Lasso was nerfed. It doesn't do as much damage anymore, so when you see a Lightning Lasso being fully channeled out, it's not nearly as scary as it was in the previous patch, and I think that sort of takes away the one-shot ability of these Elemental Shaman when they are dragging people behind the pillars. Zpi channeling out the Lightning Lasso right now, putting out good pressure over onto Jamie. Blade Storm being used by Blizzo, generating a whole bunch of pressure. If we look at mana right now, Drainer does have a slight lead, but there has been moments in the game where Drainer on that Mistweaver Monk has sort of struggled to keep his team alive. I mean, on this smaller map, he's always going to be susceptible to a wind shear of Zpi. He'll pretty much always be in range. And I think that's something we have to look for. I think Drainer's really going to struggle as the game goes on.
Nerd Rage switched to the Vision of Perfection as well, so both warriors are running the Beyblade builds. They're going to be spinning quite frequently. That gives them extra mobility to stay on the Elemental Shaman, a little bit of extra multi-target damage as well. I'm curious to see if this change of essence from Nerd Rage allows him to find victory against Wildcard Gaming, because prior he was running the Conflict and Strife, trying to get access to some more Honor talents, the dual one in particular, but I don't think it was as effective as the Vision of Perfection's added damage and utility in this specific matchup. So far, no, I wouldn't say significant mana lead, maybe a slight one for Zizon. Good pressure, though, on Jamie. Puts the cooldown lead in favor of Wildcard Gaming during this attempt. Maybe even just the end of the match. Drainer is interrupted. No Life Cocoon for some time. Drainer's in a position where he can cast freely, though. No one can crowd control, and because of that, Drainer is going to stabilize Jamie. Z-Pi now taking some hits. Jamie going to thunderstorm him into midfield, go for a lightning lasso, and try and cross the battle to stop the drink. Looney got a bit of mana, though, evening the odds.
Z-Pi is a little bit low. Looney trying to keep him alive with the Iron Bark. Both teams just sort of bouncing around between all three targets, just looking for opportunistic swaps. They have a bash over onto Drainer right now. Jamie getting caught in a little bit of damage. I think mana could be a big part of this game. I mean, we're about a minute away from dampening, and both healers haven't really been taxed too much just yet. They're both hovering around 80%. I don't think anyone's stepped away for a drink. There's an attempt here over on the Blizzo, but he should be able to survive. The Disarm comes in from Nerd Rage, but ultimately Blizzo gets topped off quite easily. And now, once again, Z-Pi is trying to retreat, avoid damage from Nerd Rage. Jamie is actually in hot pursuit, trying to keep up the consistent pressure. Purge, keep in mind, is a really big factor in these matchups. Both of the Elemental Shamans have the ability to purge, heal over time effect. So you can see Z-Pi, he's going to be able to purge off, stuff like Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist off of Jamie, which makes it more difficult for Drainer to really heal him up. And then, of course, Jamie, if they build momentum, he can use his purge to remove Rejuvenation and Life Bloom from Z-Pi to keep up a lot of pressure for his team. So that's when things can really start snowballing out of control. If you get a Sharpened Blade and Purge spam coming in, that's going to be a win condition for both of these teams.
Wildcard Gaming, if they lose this series, they're going to be sacrificing a top 4 finish in terms of point standings. They can't afford to lose this series. They absolutely can't afford to. If they do, Change My Mind has good opportunities. Zizon continues to build their already quite significant lead. Diabolus have a good shot as well of going into the top 4, and at that point, if you're Wildcard Gaming, you're maybe in the 6th or 7th place position, when in spring season, they were number 2. They were rivaling Method Black. They were one of the only teams to even come close to beating them, so this is quite a fall from grace for Wildcard Gaming if they can't come back. Fortunately, against Zizon, they've got effectively a mirror match. They can prove that they are the best. They can prove that they deserve their spot in this series here and now. They don't have to deal with the counters of that rogue mage. So they've got the best shot to make it through, but Zizon may just be on a whole another plane of power. Z-Pi stunned up, taking a huge hit. Looney saves him with Iron Bark. Jamie now on the back foot, on the run. Blizzo trying to connect, but not able to. Swings over to Drainer for a second, then charges in. Ursul's Vortex holding Jamie in place for Blizzo, but Life Cocoon from Drainer is more than enough to save him. Blizzo is going to switch targets. That Vision of Perfection, proccing Blade Storms to remove slows, giving Blizzo a lot of uptime onto Drainer on that Monk, looking to chop him up. Big damage from the Warbreaker, but Ring of Peace from Drainer stalls the assault of Blizzo for now. Z-Pi still right on top of him. No interrupts, it doesn't look. Looks like they really just want to target Drainer, but we've seen this before. When the Warriors overextend, they usually get punished. Drainer's trying to reposition. Where is he going to go? Not many cooldowns. Manages to at least just get away from the fight. Should stabilize back behind the pillar. Dampening now at 10%, and I think Looney is sitting down for a drink, so mana is likely even at this point, and it's still anyone's game.
Definitely is. We're at 10% dampening. Drainer at around 70% mana. Looney wasn't able to recover his mana. He's in a full fear. Nerd Rage looking to set up his team with a lightning lasso over on the Blizzo. Can they take him down? I think Looney should have the healing with Innervate rolling. He'd be very inefficient at this point, as all his heals are free of charge. And Z-Pi is taking a little bit of damage, but I think he should be able to stay alive. Paralysis as Drainer moves forward, trying to get crowd control, set up his team for a potential kill. Z-Pi has to trade out his Astral Shift. He's looking to get out of line of sight of Jamie, but Jamie in hot pursuit. Drainer stabilizes his team. Looney should be able to recover as well, but he did use a fair bit of mana. And do you think that's what Zizon was going for, Sid? Do you think they just want to go for that mana edge?
Could be. I mean, Mistweaver with the passive regeneration, even in the last patch, was superior to Druid. Hook Point, a good map to stop Druids from drinking, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. Nerd Rage in trouble, though. His entire team crowd controlled. Drainer saves him in the nick of time with Life Cocoon. Looney exchanges Iron Bark to stabilize Blizzo. Drainer then gets swapped to. Big Earth Shock from Z-Pi. Lightning Lasso, good follow-up, lots of damage. How is Drainer going to deal with the situation? That's the downfall of Hook Point, is that you've nowhere to really run. Blizzo in hot pursuit. Thunderstorm knocks Blizzo away. Z-Pi's right back on top of him. Drainer fake casts the Wind Shear. He needs to connect some heals right now, and he's going to be able to. Blizzo isn't able to connect. Nerd Rage peels him away. Drainer recovers. Good teamwork between Drainer and Jamie with that Thunderstorm, buying enough time for Drainer to stay alive. Drainer now looks like he He wants to get crowd control, but gets intercepted by Blizzo. Where's the paralysis? That is something that the Mistweaver brings as an advantage. I feel like we haven't even really seen too many paralysis cross crowd control attempts. I would say the offense from Zizon could be a bit more coordinated. Definitely a way for them to close the game out, but their main win condition does still appear to be just run Looney out of mana. The real question then comes is whether or not the new essences will actually allow Looney to run completely out of mana, and if he can't, then perhaps Zizon just get overwhelmed and this strategy backfires.
Yeah, lightning lasso over onto Zipai. Here we go. Some big pressure coming in from Zizon. Jamie trying to set up his team. Looney gets wind sheared. There's no Iron Bark. They have to rely on the Astral Shift. Drainer gets interrupted as they look to set up over onto Nerd Rage. Good cross pressure coming in from Wildcard Gaming. They're looking to reverse the damage. Looney does manage to stabilize his team. Sharpened Blade coming in from Blizzo. Nerd Rage in Life Cocoon should be completely fine. There's a big exchange in defensive cooldowns during that moment, but both teams have stabilized at around 24% dampening. Leg sweep now over onto Looney. Lightning lasso over onto Blizzo. He's 50% health. What are they going to be able to do? He's getting low, actually. Jamie with big damage. He's falling behind. Looney has to play catch-up right now. He has the Iron Bark, but just not committing it. Blizzo gets his arm. And it looks like Wildcard Gaming, things are sort of slowly falling apart. Looney with the greedy Iron Bark, and look at the mana lead. Zizon is just way ahead. Drainer on the Mistweaver Monk leaps and bounds ahead in terms of mana. Looney's going to have to sneak away for a drink unless he can just hold on with fumes. I mean, Sid, do you think that's something he's going to be able to do?
I think at least until maybe another 10% dampening, that could be the case. But right now, there's the crowd control. Paralysis on Looney, 2 members low on health. And we may actually see Looney switch to Mistweaver with how one-sided this looks in dampening with the Mistweaver versus the Druid. And we could actually have this series decided on who is actually the better Mistweaver Elemental Arms Warrior. And we'll be able to decide who the better healer is overall, because right now it's not looking too good for Wildcard Gaming. 2 members still critically low on health. 31% dampening, reducing that healing by 31%. Blizzo's trying to push Jamie over, but Jamie still has options. Blizzo's overextended. Lightning Lasso connects. He's forced to use the Dyer's Medallion to break it, but it's overlapped with Looney's Iron Bark. Jamie going to respect that exchange and activate the Astral Shift as Drainer is cycloned. Instead, they switch targets over to Nerd Rage, trying to just hit the most vulnerable. Now the defense is over. They switch back to Jamie. That's the Gladiator Safeguard proc immediately. Blizzo being pushed back by Nerd Rage. He has to die by the sword. Nerd Rage now being pushed back by Blizzo. He has to die by the sword. Both teams burning out of their cooldowns quite quickly in this position. Who's going to fall first? Who's going to move to match points? Nerd Rage could easily fall. Drainer is desperate, trying to get some heals. He rolls in. Maybe he's got a leg sweep. Lands the double. Wind shears Looney. Perfect crowd control right there to close it out. That was looking dicey, but Zizon now moved to match point.
That was a crazy difference.
I think Maro is going to have a very difficult game. I think this might even be more of a wake-up call of when they can use this composition. It seems like it would be probably better in a Wizard mirror than it was in the past, but against any sort of melee class, it's going to be difficult for Maro to survive. Let's see where they decide to position. That could be one way that Zizon, or one way that Wildcard Gaming find victory, if Maro can position where Nerd Rage is vulnerable, dish out a ton of damage. This is a scary moment in the match with Maro activating that Incarnation. Going to be getting a lot of Star Surges. Nerd Rage is going to respect that cooldown and just vacate the premises, leap back around the corner with his entire team. This is exactly the response that you want to give against the Incarnation of the Balance Druid. Just wait for it to be over, because the one thing the Balance Druid is weak at is holding somebody in position to get a kill. This is, in general, the weakness of the comp of Wildcard Gaming. So Zizon, they're going to chill out, take a chill pill, wait for the Incarnation. It's now over. It's time to go out again and start pushing forward for a kill. But Drainer actually gets interrupted, and Jamie is getting just destroyed by Zipai right now. A lot of damage onto him. Maro's trying to support. Jamie is forced to run away again. Zipai definitely carrying with the pressure. He certainly needs to if Maro is going to be the target, but now finally Nerd Rage sinking his teeth in.
Yeah, good damage coming in onto Maro, but he just managed to stabilize. It's going to be really difficult for Looney to continue to heal him up, especially later on in the game, so we'll have to see Wildcard Gaming get out a ton of pressure in this match. They need to force Jamie and Nerd Rage and Drainer back on the pillar. We did see what happened the last time Incarnation was rolling for Maro. All 3 members decided to run away. Right now, just proc the Incarnation, so able to get a little bit of additional damage off, but unfortunately not able to completely force Zizon to retreat, as Nerd Rage still is all over Maro. Iron Bark gets traded out onto Jamie. He stays alive. Drainer's mana is doing great. Same with Looney. We're about 2 minutes into the game so far. I would say neither team has a clear advantage.
All right, let's see. It's match point here for Zizon. If they win this, this could be devastating for Wildcard's overall placement to qualify in the World Finals, or at least a lot more stress on their plate. Maro switching over to the balance turret, trying to get a boost of power to close this game out and at least tie the series to a game number 5. Will the balance turret be enough? Maro and Nerd Rage going at each other in midfield, but neither one really scratching the surface just yet. Zeepai has been hammering down on onto Jamie, trying to carry pressure onto 2 different targets. This could be a wise move to run Drainer out of mana, but struggling to do so. Drainer in crowd control from Looney, setting up a swap onto Jamie, but Drainer saw it coming, activating Iron Bark, but Nerd Rage is left isolated out in midfield, taking a beating. Jamie's going to reposition over to go after Nerd Rage. Grapple weapon from Looney. That could be a way to kill the Arms Warrior, denying his damage and denying his access to defensive abilities like Die by the Sword. Maro now getting chopped up. Life Cocoon trades from Looney. Drainer getting swapped too. Zeepai really carrying the fight right now, creating opportunities onto basically all 3 members of the team. Maro trying to capitalize on that for the kill, but Drainer escapes to safety.
Yeah, Jamie forced to run behind the pillar once again. What are they going to be able to get done? Maro and Zeepai, this is the exact positioning that they want. They want to force Wildcard Gaming, or they want to force Zizon to play defensive in this matchup. And if they can force Zizon defensive, that's when you're really going to see the strength of the Elemental Shaman and the Moonkin with this positioning. But Nerd Rage has been doing a really good job just tanking through this damage with the D-stance. Zeepai finding a lightning lasso, good pressure coming in. Jamie backs up the Nerd Rage just a little bit with a nice wind shear over on Maro. Drainer in a nice position to top off his team. Nerd Rage completely stable as he looks to get really aggressive with the Avatar.
Yeah, Maro in a lot of trouble in bear form, not going to be doing too much damage. Nerd Rage setting up for the win. Zeepai denies it, but we see Drainer jump in with follow-up. Maro could still be in trouble, hovering on very low health in this position. Life Cocoon from Looney, enough to stabilize him for now. Zeepai is still whittling down on health. 1 minute away from dampening, and dampening reduces the overall effectiveness of healing in the game. When we get into the deeper stages of a match, things become quite chaotic. Health will be ping-ponging back up and down across both teams, and in a matchup like this with such limited self-healing on the Warrior and the Balance Druid, anyone can die at any moment. There's opportunities for cross kills, maybe down to even a 2 versus 2. Just a couple minutes away from that crazy amount of dampening. In this position, Nerd Rage trying to push for the win, gets stalled out by Maro with a Cyclone. Maro lobs out a couple Star Surges at Jamie. He ducks for cover around the corner. Drainer picks him up in a jiffy. Jamie then repositions back out into midfield. Who's Jamie going to go after? He's been trying to tee off onto both Zeepai and Nerd Rage, but sometimes going after Drainer. Solar Beam defensively over onto Jamie into a full Hex. Drainer going to dispel that. I feel like Jamie has just been bullied around this game. He's unable to leave the pillar, always sub 80% health. Perhaps this is the strength. Maybe Mistweaver is actually one of the better healers. I mean, we saw Drainer showcase it, and then in this position, it's looking good for Looney as well. We may end up seeing a Mistweaver showdown for game number 5.
Yeah, Nerd Rage almost gets deleted out of the game. Drainer responds with the Iron Bark to keep him alive. Nerd Rage ultimately does survive, but that's the problem. When you play against an Elemental Shaman and a Moonkin, at any moment you can just explode. So you have to be very careful. Maro with the Incarnation rolling up right now. I would like to almost see him use it as sort of a defensive cooldown. If Nerd Rage is playing a little bit too aggressive, no, Maro says, you're wrong, I'm going aggressive right now. So he's going to try to force Nerd Rage away. If he can do that, his team will stabilize. But the thing is, Wildcard Gaming, everyone's healthy right now. So you don't really accomplish too much by using the Incarnation. Everyone's going to run away. You're already full health, so it's not like you have anything to really stand to gain. So I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but if they're looking for just as much damage as possible, that might have been the right play. But Zizon, they're going to completely stabilize, retreat. Drainer's full mana. Looney's 100% mana as well. These healers with these essences, they are very durable in terms of their blue bar.
Yeah, the ever-rising tide, the mana regeneration essence, the minor, both healers likely running this, as well as the memory of lucid dreams major essence. This is going to allow healers a significant amount of mana regeneration. Mistweaver, the strongest mana regeneration, I believe, in patch 8.1.5, so even added on to that, you can see that it's very effective. I think it's almost so effective that Looney should maybe run Way of the Crane as well, just for added damage deeper into dampening. In this match, though, going for the safe strategy, looking to just drag this fight on as long as possible and then overwhelm the Restoration Druid, likely with purges from Zeepai and some of the Star Surges from Morrow. Now at 11% healing reduction, Drainer and Jamie both locked down in stuns, but not too much damage towards Jamie. Jamie pushing forward, both Elemental Shamans in midfield. Looks like Jamie and Drainer are going to reposition. Morrow taking a bit of a beating here from Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage definitely going to be the point guard of the team, the one that initiates and develops all the momentum. And then Jamie will be the one that looks to finish the game off of that momentum. Repositioning on top of Looney. Drainer looks like he's crossing midfield as well. What are Zizon up to? Drainer's going to jump in, go for a bash, go into a Cyclone. Perfectly timed. Morrow goes into bear form to try and be more durable during this moment of crowd control on his healer. Looking like it could be more than enough. Looney then reconnects with Life Cocoon. This is now opportunity for Morrow to strike back. Star Surge is lobbed out at Jamie. Iron Bark activated by Drainer. Both healers rotating effectively, and dampening continues to rise. Yeah,
bash over on a Nerd Rage. Do they have any damage to take him down? Double leg sweep once again coming in from Looney. That is actually the play we saw Drainer make, which closed out the last game. So maybe Looney needs to start making those game-winning plays as well, pushing in with the paralysis, with the leg sweep to get that extra crowd control they need. Morrow under fire, good damage coming in. Grapple weapon over on a Nerd Rage. He trinkets out of that. Unfortunately, it didn't do anything because he has every man for himself. So I think Nerd Rage might have just wasted his every man for himself on that disarm. That's unfortunate. Looney with that disarm completely slows down his damage. Morrow with the Incarnation forces Zizon once again to retreat behind the pillar. And here's the thing. At this point in the game, you can afford to retreat behind the pillar, but the next time we see Incarnation, dampening is going to be even higher. And it's going to be difficult for Drainer to actually completely stabilize and top off his team. You're basically giving Looney a free reset in terms of drinking if he really needs to. Doesn't seem like he needs to at this point in the game, but it becomes a lot more scary to run away and lose all your pressure with the composition Zizon has as the game goes on, especially with Drainer. His mana is actually going down. All right, let's see if Drainer can regenerate mana and stay in the fight for his team here now at 24% dampening. I was anticipating Morrow to take more damage than he actually did in this particular matchup. It's surprising to see him be so stable. Drainer's engaging crowd control. This is one thing that Zizon could step up, is their overall coordination if they want to punch through and finish the game. So bash on Looney, lightning lasso on Morrow, hex on Zeepai. If they maybe coordinate together, they could easily find a kill through this method. So far, they're just working with brute force, but they're being pushed back quite hard. Where's Jamie going to go? He wants to go toe-to-toe right in midfield, but could be a risky maneuver being so far behind on mana. Looks like they want to commit to it. Lightning lasso on Drainer from Zeepai. Zeepai setting up a swap. They see Drainer moving to midfield, looking to blast him. He's going to jump back around the corner and try and recover. Still quite low. Zeepai looking for a hex on Jamie to bait Drainer out of bear form, maybe to dispel, and then attack Drainer again. Lightning bolts lobbed over there. Morrow in a bit of trouble. How are they going to deal with this? Looney is interrupted. This could be it. It could just be good night for Wildcard Gaming. They may have drawn their last card here. Zizon still in a position where they could win, even though they are behind. Drainer needs to be careful to not throw the match and spend too much time in midfield. Wildcard Gaming are certainly capitalizing on that positioning. Jamie now in a lightning lasso. Nerd Rage is just soloing Morrow at any moment here now at 31% dampening. I think Morrow's going to be in a lot of trouble. If they can pin Morrow down in bear form for the rest of the match and he can't get any damage out, then he's just going to become overwhelmed. Life Cocoon, Gladiator Safeguard, absorption effects overlapped on the side of Wildcard Gaming. The defense is starting to crack. Yeah, Morrow getting really low. That Ring of Peace paying dividends, but the Blade Storm allows Nerd Rage to move through it. He's in hot pursuit of Morrow. Looney's mana finally starting to whittle down. We're at 35% dampening at this point. What is Wildcard Gaming going to do? If Zizon can develop pressure, if they can force Morrow into bear form, that's when they can really start developing a lead. Avatar gets traded out by Nerd Rage. Jamie pushing in. He's looking to get aggressive. This might be the first time in the game where Morrow is forced to just sit into bear form. So far, it hasn't happened yet. Incarnation's rolling. Jamie has to retreat once again. The paralysis on Drainer forces Jamie to run and hide. And now Looney should be able to top off his team. Heals are coming in. Drainer looking to stabilize as well, but Nerd Rage, he's across the map. Nerd Rage is way overextended right now. Drainer forced to move in. Doesn't have the Iron Bark. He gets caught into a leg sweep. Dive of the Sword trades out. And this is the problem with the Arms Warrior. He doesn't have any self-healing. Zeepai and Maro, they're putting out massive pressure. Nerd Rage does manage to survive. Drainer trying to keep him alive, throws in the Iron Bark as we march towards 40% dampening.
All right, Nerd Rage, you don't have much defense left. Dampening is at a huge value at this point. Zizon are going to retreat away, but where are they going to go? All three members, I think this is a triple kill for Wildcard Gaming here shortly. Drainer has no mana to recover. They got to do something quick, but what can they really do? There's nothing left for them. They're just all so low on health. Drainer's not going to be able to heal them back up anytime soon. Nerd Rage cycling to low health. Jamie taking a punch, looking to wrap around the corner. Drainer's trying to run, but now Nerd Rage is left behind. Zeepai maybe a bit overextended. Needs to respect that. Can't stand right on top of the warrior. All three members of Zizon quivering around the corner, but should this go to a game number 5, Zizon can change their composition. They can get a more favorable matchup if this one doesn't ultimately work out for them. Wildcard Gaming playing this out pretty standard, avoiding the fight, dragging it out to deep dampening, maintaining a significant mana lead, rotating their cooldowns effectively, and just doing a whole bunch of damage. If they can keep it up, perhaps they can just close it out. Good damage on Maro right now. This is what Zizon need. They need to do enough damage that Maro is stuck in bear form. If they're forced to run away and they can't attack Maro and they can't keep him in bear form, they're going to become overwhelmed. So they have to take the risk. They have to go into midfield. They have to make the push, and they have to do it now. Dampening now at 46%. Maro in bear form. Can they keep him pinned down in bear form? Nerd Rage defensively fears removing the elemental shaman damage. Looney rolls forward as well to stop some damage from Jamie. Drainer jumps in, looks for a cyclone, gets denied on it. Now he's exposed in midfield. Zeepai's trying to punish him. Drainer still looking like he wants to try and get a cyclone. Looney gets wind sheared. Maro's looking for a cyclone. Gets one on Jamie. Lightning lasso on Nerd Rage. No defense. No mana remains. Nerd Rage just pushes forward for the kill. Is he going to kill Maro before he ultimately falls? He's disarmed. He can't attack. He's got no weapon to his name. Now bashed away for a second. Maro lobs out a Star Surge, but he's still stuck down in bear form. Looney gets wind sheared. This is the cross kill potential. When we hit 50% plus dampening, Jamie trades defense to stay aggressive. Maro trades to just stay alive. Life Cocoon's shredded through. Barkskin is fading. Iron Bark active on Jamie. Is it going to be enough to keep Jamie alive? Are we going to a game 5? Rallying cry from Nerd Rage buys a couple of seconds. Grounding Totem soaks up a Star Surge. Jamie on the run, but there's no mana left, and Looney's going to kick him in the face, but Maro is looking like he's going to fall. Nerd Rage gets to execute, but in this 2 versus 2, you have to give it to the Elemental Shaman. I mean, Nerd Rage is so low on health, and Drainer has no mana. He's running around the corner, but he's at 53% dampening and no mana. I mean, how do you win this if you're Zizon?
Well, we'll see. What is Drainer going to be able to do? Iron Bark's up in 10 seconds. Nerd Rage still alive. Maybe Zeepai won't be able to take him down. Nerd Rage putting out good pressure. I don't know. I feel like Zizon's going to be able to stabilize in this situation. We're at 55% dampening, and Drainer's actually healing Nerd Rage up. He might be able to live if he needs to. He can run away. Zeepai's going to be moving forward. What is Looney going to do? He's just using the crackling Jade Lightning. He's kiting away. He might go for a res. He might force Zizon's hand. But look, Nerd Rage actually completely stabilized in this situation, Sid. And it looks like Zizon, they're still in it.
I don't know how this is possible. I felt like Wildcard Gaming were going to walk away with this. They had a significant mana lead. Now it's 58%. I think this game breaks dampening. He didn't get that much mana. What? What was he doing?
He's drinking.
But he didn't get any mana.
Had to get out of combat.
No, man.
He has enough mana, obviously. He was completely ooming. He topped off Nerd Rage. Yeah. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Zeepai, he's forced to use his Astral Shift. And Zizon might have actually swung this matchup in their favor. They can't believe it. Wildcard Gaming can't believe it. Looney is going to be able to keep Zeepai alive, but without the Empowered Lightning Lasso, I feel like Zizon can actually easily win this. Lightning Lasso comes in onto Nerd Rage, really doesn't do too much damage. Drainer keeps him alive, moving forward, looking for Solar Wraths. Looney's mana is doing quite well, but Drainer seems to be able to just heal on fumes forever. I mean, he has the Iron Bark rolling. His mana is still hovering around 25% at this point. If he goes for another drink, he's going to be completely fine. You said record levels of dampening. I don't even know what the record is right now.
I think it's 85.
63%, 64%. How high are we going to go?
Yeah, 85% is the dampening record right now, and we're looking to break that here between Zizon and Wildcard Gaming. Now, the question really is can Nerd Rage hit Zeepai long enough to kill him? Because Elemental Shaman is pretty difficult to even just attack as a warrior, but so far it's looking like momentum in favor of Zizon, and perhaps they take this back. Jamie ended up dying first in this game, but that doesn't matter. Maro fell a few seconds later thanks to Nerd Rage, and now Drainer's mana regeneration is looking like more than enough. Nerd Rage with that new Essence, the Vision of Perfection, granting him more Blade Storm uptime, gives him extra mobility to potentially close the game out. Lightning Lasso still a threat, dealing a lot of damage. Nerd Rage going to just shake it off and keep marching forward with Sharpened Blade active. As soon as he connects, that's going to reduce the healing on Zeepai by 50% for a short time. Drainer using Wild Charge to hold Zeepai in place. Nerd Rage smartly so mounting up, realizing that he's never going to catch that Ghost Wolf. Mount up, reconnect, leap over, go for the Warbreaker. Big damage here from Nerd Rage if he can stay on target with Zeepai. Once again, just making it so difficult to do so.
Yeah, 70% dampening right now. Nerd Rage still doing quite fine. Drainer able to keep him alive. And despite all of this, despite dampening being so high, Drainer's actually going up in mana. He's literally regenerating enough mana to stabilize. I mean, he's 50% mana right now. I don't think he was able to sneak away for a drink. Now, basically, a reset to full. Looney looking for a resuscitate at this point. If he can get the res off, it's going to be big for his team, obviously. He's going to be able to regenerate tomorrow back alive, and that would certainly be a win, but it looks like Zizon's
I think we're getting to 100%.
I don't think we're going to get that high, but we'll have to see.
The thing is, neither of these healers are set up for twos, right? There's no Feral Affinity, there's no way of the Crane, so we could actually get massive dampening.
It's just the most, like...
This is massive dampening. We're at 75%.
This isn't massive dampening, Ven.
Unknown waters here.
We're going to get so deep we don't see the light anymore at this point. Zeepai getting chopped up. Nerd Rage trying to continue the pressure. It looks like Life Cocoon gets traded out. Keep in mind what's at stake here. I mean, if Wildcard Gaming loses this game, they're out. They're out of the tournament.
They're going to lose.
And they're Cyclone on Looney. Another Cyclone on Looney. Zeepai trying to survive. He has the Astral Shift, but he's just not trading it out. Nerd Rage has so much pressure and momentum at this point. 78% dampening, and he still doesn't use the Astral Shift.
Come on, Zeepai, live a little longer. We're not there yet.
What is he waiting for? Another Blade Storm coming in. There's just so much damage from Nerd Rage with Sharpened Blade. I mean, I do not know how Looney is keeping him alive.
Break the record! World record! Come on, Zeepai, don't die yet. You're 6%. 5% away. Come on, world record. Thunderstorm, Nerd Rage leaps back. He's going in battle stance. That's pretty risky at 80% dampening. Nerd Rage has had enough. He's trying to just close this game out. Zeepai's just trying to break a record because I don't think he's going to be able to win this game. It looks like Zizon are going to advance thanks to Nerd Rage pocketing Morrow right at the last second when Jamie fell. Both members connecting, and I don't think we're breaking records. Zeepai in execute range on the run. He's just not going up and hell storm bolted. Nerd Rage looks to close, connecting huge hits, and they're going to tap out 2% away from the record, but
saw really aggressive strategies coming in when they went against the Chalky Milkman earlier today. They basically destroyed the Chalky Milkman, going after the Rogue with really good crowd control chains onto the Restoration Druid. Is that a strategy they're going to be able to repeat, Sid?
We're going to have to wait and see. We've got Legends. We've also got BlizzCon Champions with Kara here in the arena. Zuniaki looking to try and get a title as well. Poike and Zuniaki, I mean, just going head-to-head on names alone, this is quite a legendary matchup. Likely pretty intense matchup as well. Changed my mind, they're running down the Discipline Priest. This is a strategy that we saw Chalky Milkmen try and employ. Look where the Chalky Milkmen are.
Where are they?
They're out of the tournament, so I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see how Zuniaki handles this. He's basically the only Discipline Priest that we've seen other than maybe Sea-Doo in North America. He's trying to make a name for himself again on that Discipline Priest. It's been so long since he's been playing it at this level. Let's see if he can pull it off here against Change My Mind.
I don't think this is going to work. I'm just going to say it. I feel like Zuniaki's going to keep dragging Acro behind the pillar. He maybe just dies here, and I'm completely wrong, but I think he should be able to survive with the Raptor. Keep in mind, he still has a lot of his defensive cooldowns available, and Acro, he's already traded out the Cloak of Shadows. There's a full trap over on him in Poike. Can they get the damage going? And this is a strategy we see time and time again from the Frost Mage, Restoration Druid, Assassination Rogue. They just control the DPS and go after the healer. How is Zuniaki going to be able to survive? Now Fried Kitty actually taking quite a bit of damage. And I think I like this. Go after the Frost Mage instead. They have the damage. Fried Kitty could just fall, force into an ice block. Massive damage coming in from NLite, and that was overlapped with Pinpoike's Trinket. This is disaster time for Change My Mind.
All right, they need to get a kill soon if they want to close this out. They got Zuniaki stun locked, looking to close it out right now, but not able to find the kill. Not even a pain suppression. Zuniaki's trying to hold on to that cooldown for another stun down the road, but I'm not sure if he's going to get away with it. Acro right on top of him. And Poike now in a freezing trap, could be trouble. Kara's going to get polymorphed right before Fried Kitty got stunned. That's a bit unfortunate for the team of NLite. They may have been able to get an ice block if that stun didn't happen in the nick of time. Zuniaki going to fear away Acro. They actually get the Gladiator's Medallion from Acro with that Psychic Scream. Fried Kitty blinks in. Bit of an aggressive stance here from Change My Mind. Zuniaki manages to recover, keeping himself in the match and keeping the Discipline Priest dream alive for now.
Yeah, Acro trying to chase. He still has the evasion left if he needs it. Zuniaki at around 50% mana. Might be able to just win on mana at this point, but there's a trap on Minpoike. Acro actually could be in some trouble. Full blind onto Kara. Just still changed my mind. They're going for control in the DPS. Just tunneling down Zuniaki. Zuniaki's done a really good job keeping himself alive. Unfortunately, has to trade out every man for himself. Looking for heals with the Rapture that he has up. And those power word shields are going to be very effective in a good position for a double fear. I can't help but feel like I want them to go after Fraud Kitty once again. They just had so much pressure, but now Acro, keep in mind, he's got no evasion, no vanish, there's no Iron Bark. The next attempt from NLite on Acro, I think he could just die.
He most certainly can. Let's see if NLite see that opportunity and if they can seize it here in game number 1. Zuniaki's locked down again, disrespecting this push from Change My Mind, not trading cooldowns during that stun. Zuniaki's going to get away with it. Minpoike's in a freezing trap. This is the push. This is the moment that NLite were waiting for, but they can't capitalize on it. Fried Kitty is denying it. The polymorphs on Kara, unable to really get too much pressure out, but they did get Cloak of Shadows and Feint from Acro, so Minpoike needs to get ready for the next assault. He's got that Gliders Medallion, but if Zuniaki gets in position to land a Psychic Scream, it may not matter. Fried Kitty just tossing out lots of Frost Bolts. Zuniaki trying to line of sight Acro. Fried Kitty gets stunned up. He's going to break out, go for the attack. Frozen Orb has been placed. Both healers in crowd control. Both teams in potential trouble. Zuniaki once again escaping barely right at the edge of his seat. Acro now in a lot of trouble. Feints, Iron Bark needs to be enough, but Minpoike gets interrupted. It may not be enough. Will he hold on? Barely staying alive. Trying to keep up the pursuit to kill Zuniaki here. 4 minutes in. Zuniaki interrupted. Penance gets stunned instantly by Acro. Good denial on the Discipline Priest casts. Zuniaki manages to make it out of another stun unscathed. Slight mana deficit for the team of NLite, but their momentum is certainly still keeping them in the game.
Yeah, Zuniaki doing a really good job surviving here. Mana still doing quite well. Also, Acro can't afford to be this aggressive at this point. Minpoike in a full trap. Zuniaki wants to land a fear. He wants desperately to, but he might not need to. Acro trying to hide behind the pillar. Minpoike trying to play catch up, but Cassidy's all over him. Safeguard procs in the nick of time to keep him alive. Good trinket choice there by Acro in order to survive that attempt. Kitty shot now onto Zuniaki. They're looking for damage coming in from Fried Kitty and Acro. Zuniaki, is he going to be able to survive? He's done a good job so far. Pain suppression is available, but he's opting not to use it. He's looking for Shadowmans. Do they have the interrupt? He fakes them out. Nicely done by Zuniaki. Keeps himself alive, and ultimately will survive that swap.
All right, Zuniaki alive. Freezing trap on Minpoike. Acro anticipates the attack. Evasions. Makes the trade to stay aggressive onto Zuniaki. Stunning him up. Fried Kitty trying to get some damage up, but no Frozen Orb available. So this kidney shot, Zuniaki escapes without even having to do too much. Now looking for mind controls. Trying to just stop damage on himself while he is interrupted. Oh, and applying the wound poison from Acro onto the mage. Zuniaki min-maxing as much as possible to make this Discipline Priest work in 8.2. But multiple Gliders Maledicts are absorbing a lot of healing right now on Zuniaki. He's very low on health and he's refusing to trade. He pain suppressions, but it's way too late. He's likely to fall. He desperate prayers. He holds on by a prayer to stay in this. Fake casts the kick, gets through the counterspell, doesn't get through the counterspell, drops the barrier. This barrier needs to be enough, but its effectiveness was reduced in 8.2. It may not be. Zuniaki has to Rapture. He's trying to get some power word shields up. Big Shadowmans, but that's costing the remainder of his mana. They have to get a kill on the next Freezing Trap or it's game over. They've set themselves in a position where it should be possible, but they need to snipe it. They get the Freezing Trap, they get the stun before the Feint. They have to kill Acro. It's do or die. They have to kill him here and now, or otherwise they're going to lose, and they do it. They pull it off. They take Acro down, and NLite take game 1, keeping that Discipline Priest
shot. But Jungle actually has a lot of answers for that. You talked about it, the Mending Bandage, the Feral Druid, the Roots, and they can kill them as well. And I mean, maybe the Assassination Rogue's a bit of a weakness here, but NLite, either way, they're fresh off of a big victory against Choccy Milkmen. Now they're looking to do the same to Change My Mind.
Freezing Trap already secured early on by NLite. Zuniaki repositioning for a Psychic Scream gets intercepted. Running that Relentless Blind is going to be the scariest point in the game for his team, but he's sitting through it, and it doesn't even seem like it mattered. Valet is the one who is just getting torn apart. Well, cooldowns are going to trade in this position, instead using crowd control. Zuniaki being tunneled down by Acro. Zuniaki, I feel like this is going to be the entire tournament for him on this Discipline Priest. He's just role-playing a punching bag, and how many times can he take getting hit before he ultimately falls over is a question. Other than that, I mean, they've got Tana for Shaman, but we already saw what happened with the Shaman. I don't think that's happening. So Zuniaki, can he take this beating and manage to keep his team in the tournament? The last Discipline Priest. He's just the last one in the tournament. We'd like to see maybe some other discipline priests as well with this jungle setup. It seems like it's decent. There's good damage right now on Valet. Minpoike's Iron Bark is faded. Valet gets cycloned at low health by Cassidy.
Nice.
Switch it over. Minpoike max ranging it, jumping in, stunning Cassidy. Cassidy trinkets. Still lots of damage. Minpoike stunned. Kara, is he going to get the freezing trap? He lands the freezing trap. This is it. NLite are going to take him out. And I mean, this is looking good for NLite.
I hate to say, I
was just looking at you because I said your name. I wasn't looking at you because I think you're washed.
He refuses to be washed up. He proceeds to look twice, by the way.
I'm just socially awkward. That's not what I meant to do, okay?
All right, whatever, dude. All right, we'll see how this goes.
I play video games, okay? Leave me alone.
Kitty shot onto Zuniaki. Good initial damage here from Change My Mind. Polymorph coming in onto Kara, and it looks like they are going to be implementing that strategy. Actually, Fried Kitty uses his Icy Veins immediately in the game, so they're really looking to get aggressive, but Zuniaki didn't have to trade anything just yet. He still has every single defensive cooldown, rotating through his Penance, through his Shadow Man. Now Rapture gets traded out in order to not fall behind, but big burst damage available here from Change My Mind. Zuniaki might have to overlap huge. I'm curious to see if he can actually survive here. Looking for Shadow Man's, manages to actually get interrupted. Safeguard procs, that is enough to keep him alive. And I have to say, Gladiator Safeguard is doing work here today.
Ooh, spell stolen off though. Zuniaki gets Ice Nova. Big hits. This might be it. Is Zuniaki going to be able to stay alive? Gets the Shadow Man. Fears Acro away. Acro a bit overlap there. They might have been able to capitalize on the Dispel cooldown if Cassie had waited to use Entangling Roots. A bit unfortunate. Now Acro's going to get a lot of uptime. The pressure on Zuniaki is insanely higher in this match in particular. 1 minute in, already burned through a significant amount of his defensive arsenal. Acro at the same time doesn't have a Gladiator's Medallion for some time. Fried Kitty is already low on health. We see that Crucible of Flame activated. 2 members low on health. Freezing trap secured. Kara moves over to support and force Acro away. Minpoike denies it by trinketing out of the freezing trap and using Iron Bark to protect Acro. Now they switch to Fried Kitty, who does not have the defensive Iron Bark to save him. But Zuniaki is still just taking a ton of damage from both Fried Kitty and Acro. How's he going to recover? There's multiple interrupts. He needs to try and navigate through both. He's going to use Penance and the move cast effect of it to line of sight at the same time. Tangling Root on Acro, but gets broken up. Blink counterspell. Nice play there by Fried Kitty, but Minpoike's in a freezing trap. Acro needs to potentially evasion before getting stunned, otherwise he could just die. He's holding on to it as long as he can, but now Minpoike's bashed. Gladiator Safeguard. Do they have a Dispel for it? Doesn't look like it. Acro's going to vanish. He's going to get out of the fight, but Gladiator Safeguard out of the way. A big defensive option now not on the table for Acro, and Change My Mind, they're on match point. So if they want to continue to tunnel down Zuniaki, they risk their tournament lives to do so. Zuniaki takes this moment to just sit down for a drink, realizing that Change My Mind don't want to risk their tournament lives on one more big push, but now Zuniaki has extended the game for his team by getting a drink.
I think Cassie doesn't have survival instincts left at this point, but that was a really nice smoke bomb dropped out. Actually, Cassie, I think preemptively used the survival instincts on the smoke bomb. That was a really nice heads-up play. Kara as well used the Mending Bandage to free him up while Zuniaki was drinking. So NLite just firing on all cylinders at this point. Zuniaki completely recovered his mana in a really good spot at this point. Fried Kitty looking for some damage over onto Cassidy as Acro and Fried Kitty kind of realize Zuniaki, he's not going to go down. So we need to change our target. We need to change our mind, but it might be too little too late. Fried Kitty under fire, Temporal Shield gets traded out, but he still has the defense of both of his ice blocks. There's a big attempt here over onto Acro, and Poike really struggling to keep him alive. He gets interrupted. Acro still not topped off. He's looking to try to avoid some damage. Full trap secured. Now Fried Kitty under fire. There's just massive pressure for NLite in this game.
I mean, this is looking devastating for Change My Mind at the moment. Is it going to be an ice block? Then Poike is stunned. Fried Kitty's all alone. Big bite. Gladiator Safeguard soaking up the hits. Crucible of Flame activated. That Crucible of Flame so great for a melee cleave in this particular matchup. They just get a little bit of extra range damage when they can't connect. That got them an ice block. And then also if they go after the rogue and he uses evasion, they can use the concentrated flame to get through that defensive option. This is a strategy that only NLite have employed in the tournament, running 3 of that essence effect. Zuniaki stunned up, going to trade pain suppression. More than fair enough for the Icy Veins of Fried Kitty, but even still low on health, trying to get around the corner, but he's got Acro right on top of him. Fake casts the kick, fears Acro away. Zuniaki should stabilize. Fried Kitty now stunned. Minpoike denies the kill there with Iron Bark. Can they get another ice block? Zuniaki's mana not looking too good, but thankfully he got that drink earlier on. Otherwise, he would be completely out of mana at this point. Minpoike trapped, Zuniaki stunned. Zuniaki going aggressive with the Dark Archangel, looking for a big punch. Tons of damage, multiple concentrated flames activated. Fried Kitty barely escaping around the corner, but Minpoike's interrupted. They had to defensively blind Kara. He's still in trouble. He's gonna go down. Big by fights by Cassidy. Big plays by NLite. Zuniaki keeps